Okay, so we got to take a second to talk about this Bookporeal life form guy. In my life, I have never seen more shit takes ever. The mouth breathing pulled you into a scene. I mean, what is happening with this guy? What is happening here?
Have you even read the fucking book, Nerdporeal?
Being out of touch with reality the last several minutes has made humanity as a whole dumber than these book-burning shills.
How does he call himself a Wheel of Time fan? I mean, how slow does this dude read? He's been reading The Shadow Rising for about 2.5 years.
Fuck.
You Chicago dipshit motherfucker.
Get over yourself.
What is going on?
Last time on Revisiting the Wheel of Time.
Yo, what? That was the longest apology I've ever seen.
I know.
Steve, there's no way that's the longest apology you've ever heard, because I know you were married at one point, so...
Oh!
I was the one giving the apology. Like, wait, no, I wasn't giving any apologies. I was giving them out. So, yeah,
These are the dulcet tones of a man of Manetheren.
You probably should get Kalendor, because, Samael might come and take it, Goes really quickly throughout the entire stone and kills all the Shadow Spawn with lightning, if I remember correctly.
Whatever the fuck weave that was. Woo!
I will say, that is one thing that I really have forgotten. I don't know why. In my head, all of the magic in this series seemed far more, limited. No, they just fucking send it in this.
Yeah, right. That's Rand has no idea what he did. Louis Theron it's like that's just a memory buried deep in his freaking soul.
Any words of encouragement for me to keep reading, get me excited to keep reading?
Didn't do that for you? Then go fuck yourself.
Yeah. You're saying that Pips was going to disown me. Alex, I'm sure Alex told me get fucked, and Prophet's like, we're no longer stringing bros, right?
Well,
right?
I'm on 17
right
now, and it just kicks off. I just this is such an incredible series. The first 7 books, whatever, I can't remember. They're just balls out awesome.
And now the continuation.
I'm a man of Manetheren, and I approve this message.
What are we doing? What is happening?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to part 2 of, I call it now Bookporeal Club or whatever. and we're going to be talking about the chapters 11 through 21 of Wheel of Time, Book 4, The Shadow Rising. And you're wondering, why am I doing this earlier than I usually do it? Well, I was bullied and physically coerced into this. And this was done by a horse. So let's welcome Pips. What's up, Pips? Welcome back.
You decided to bring me on first today for some
I
reason
did.
here. I just want
I
to say,
did.
I mean, I'm actually struggling to deal with that opening. I think this is maybe the first time that I've demonetized somebody's stream from the intro that they made for themselves. that was some harsh language. I feel like that was probably AI. That was definitely a deep fake.
It does not. It does not demonetize. This stuff doesn't demonetize me unless you're a bigger channel. Unless you're a much bigger channel with hundreds of thousands of subscribers and thousands of viewers, then I think that's the case. But it's not the case here.
I just wanted to say that the stated opinion of the Pips do not represent the opinion of Pips.
Fair. So, but man, well, thanks for joining us, and yeah,
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so we sacrificed Nathan so you could be on, but I don't think he would have been able to make it either way. So, Pips, you missed last week, obviously. So I feel very bad for you. So chapters 1 through 10, in a few short sentences, go. What are your initial takes on that?
I mean, I feel like what I sent you in our Discord group sums it up. Which when you were struggling to get through the first 10 chapters, do you remember what I told you?
What did you tell me?
I told you that if you didn't actually continue and read this book, you were about 7 of 10 on fucking around and finding out on our friendship.
I was gonna ask, where am I at now with that? Like, is there no way to lower it? Am I above? Am I at like 9 out of 10 right now? I'm curious.
It remains to be seen based on what I see from you during tonight's stream. I mean,
okay.
Like redemption is possible. I mean, we all of us fall short of the glory of God. But it remains to be seen. So maybe at the end of this, I can tell you, welcome back, go forth and sin no more,
yeah.
But we'll see. And you guys in the chat, feel free to chime in on whether or not you think he is continuing to sort of FA and therefore must FO. Like, let us know. Give us some feedback. Because not liking the beginning of The Shadow Rising. Oh.
Okay, fair.
That's something that I would respect, or I would expect from somebody who liked Picard season 3. That's all I'm gonna say.
Probably should have included that in the clip, but yeah. All right, but man, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining us again. And by the way, I'm in an undisclosed location, so let's welcome the next group. We got Alex and Lady Balefire.
Hey guys.
How you doing?
Good afternoon.
Hi everybody.
So, long time no see, huh?
Been a minute or 7.
So yeah, that undisclosed location is I'm hanging out with Alex and Lady B first time meeting Lady B. So yeah, so this is it's been a fun weekend for me so far. So thanks for letting me do this here. And so what are your initial thoughts on these next string of chapters?
Oh goodness. Okay, I'm just gonna make the disclaimer that I binge read these books and I forget like what happened in each book. So yeah, but I think this is the part we had a nice walk this morning and we were talking about Tanchico. So it's the Tanchico adventures, it's the hunt for the Black Aja. We've got like Tel'Randrioid and Ruidian. So it's a lot of good stuff.
As for me, this one is the first half of this is kind of the setup chapters, in the sense that it starts with 2 Egwene chapters that I don't care about, and
Gross.
then we go through what I call the Barrelane chapters, where she gets to hang out with Matt and Perrin briefly. And that's good for some amusement, and then it finally ends up kicking off a little bit as they progress sort of more through this section.
Okay, cool. All right, so before we even go any further, might as well say hello to the chats. We got LPK, member the Continuum. If you once again, if you like what I do, definitely consider hitting that join button and hit the bell. Hit the bell for notifications. So YouTube doesn't let anybody know who's streaming and who's not. So, but yeah, Keely Chow, some Toxic Horse, Gadfly's here. What's up, Gadfly? Louise X Sparrow, Ryan D2203, and that's it. So good. All right, so let's start with chapter 11. So this chapter is I think it's called what? Let's see what it's called. I remember.
It's called,
I got my book. I got my book right here too. So maybe I'll just.
It's called What Lies Hidden.
What Lies Hidden, and so this is basically.
What lies? Oh, sorry, I thought we were doing the thing.
The what?
Ignore me.
Yeah, of course. So what lies hidden? So basically, this is an Egwene chapter. So Egwene's like, I'm gonna dream. I'm gonna find out where the Black Aja are in Tanchico, and so I'm curious. So Tanchico, that's a West Coast city, and apparently from the chapters I've read in this block, it's a bad place. Like it terrifies land. It terrifies a bunch of people. So it's a bad place. So I'm curious, is this like supposed to be like the San Francisco or the Portland of Randland? I'm curious.
Portland, definitely.
Yep, this is Tanchico likes to riot. They a lot of crime. It's not a good spot.
Yeah.
So I forget. Tanchico was brought up by the two Black Aja prisoners, if I remember in the previous block.
Yes.
What Joya and
yeah,
Amiko.
That fight that they do in Tanchico, there's like one of the Black Aja ladies is a crazy cat woman, so we get some cat action.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is
So-
true. It's important to recognize Robert Jordan being based when he's being based, and making the crazy cat lady also Black Aja. I think
That tracks.
intentional.
So okay, so apparently, so obviously this is an Egwene chapter, and she goes into Teleron Riyadh, and she looks at a book that shows, I think, the Panarch's palace. The Panarch is basically the Panarch. So is it like a triumvirate in Tanchico or something? You have the king, you have the Panarch, and you have
Just those two.
Okay,
So
just
So
those two.
they have a council and stuff like that, but the Panarch and the king do the ruling.
Yeah.
And there's depending on how strong the king is or how strong the Panarch is, one or the other may sort of be the real power in the country at any one time.
Yeah.
So it's sort of loosely defined.
Oh, okay. So I'm curious, like,
I don't know,
is there-
Alex, would you agree with that? I feel like that's
So the council elects the Panarch. So that's their only real governing function. So if the Panarch is pissing off the council, they can bounce them out of there. But that's
so
really
is
the
Panarch
only
like a prime minister then type of deal.
yeah.
Like
That's
like
probably
a-
a good
okay.
way to look at it.
And I'm taking that the king doesn't really have a whole lot of power, but they have some. Apparently, they run
well.
mills.
That's the part where it depends on how strong the Panarch is versus the king. I think there's actually a line in the books that talks about, like, you know, some kings have really been in charge, and sometimes the Panarch is in charge and the king barely controls, his own palace,
Yeah.
So
You know what was fun about this chapter is, like, I don't know, I like reading weird stuff from the government, but if you've ever gone down the rabbit hole of like remote viewing, it reminded me of this with the Glutagleans doing, because it's like they've never been there. We're going to go to Tel Randrioid and do some reconnaissance in Tanchico. So I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah. So apparently, Egwene goes into the world of dreams. Obviously, he has Elaine and Nynaeve. I think they have a clock, or they bring up. I remember they bring up like clocks in this chapter. So apparently, clocks are a thing in the Wheel of Time world. Very rare, but a thing. So apparently they do kind of reflect a little bit on the attack on the stone. And apparently, yeah. So she gets the book. She gets the old book, and that's she sees the, like, I think the museum. So the Panarch's Palace has a museum in it, and she sees it, and that's so when she does go into Teleron Riaj, that's where she initially appears. So what's funny is they talk a little bit about. So she also talks about her dreams that she's been having. So I might as well bring these up. I have the list right here on my phone. So apparently one is Rand is as tall as a mountain, walking through cities, crushing buildings and people screaming like ants. That's one. And then there's another one, Rand in chains and screaming. Another one, Rand building a wall with him on one side and her, Egwene, on the other. Another one, Aiel fighting and killing each other and throwing away their weapons. Another one, Matt is wrestling a Shan woman who tied an invisible leash to him. A wolf that was Perrin fighting a man whose face kept changing. Galad wrapping himself in white. Gawain with his eyes full of pain and hatred. And then we have Meryn Elvir weeping. So
yeah. What is your question? I know the answer.
Do any of these come to none of these come to pass? Is it just here to say,
Alex,
hey?
do you want to answer this one for me?
I'm gonna quote George R. R. Martin on this. Read and find out.
First of all, quote George R. R. Martin on this. What are you even talking about? That's Robert Jordan.
That's just like
Martin probably stole that from Robert Jordan.
Yep. Probably, yeah.
Robert Jordan probably stole that from lots of other authors. But
that's his, like, you ask him any question and that's his sort of standard answer. It's kind of, well, yeah.
Okay, but that's because Robert Jordan, when he said read and find out, actually meant to read and find out. When George R. R. Martin says it, he means I don't know the answer to that yet.
Yeah.
I would love to ask him a question just so, like, I could say, I'll read when you write.
Yep. I was gonna say that would actually be a hilarious sort of question. It's like read and find out. It's like, yeah, but when though?
Probably never.
Is this the part? And I don't know if it's in here, but it just did they describe the stuff that's in the museum?
Yeah. So there's like a horn on the animal or something.
Oh,
and they don't know what it is.
Yeah, they don't know what it's, some giant animal, and it's probably like a dinosaur skeleton or maybe like an elephant or something. And
I was thinking either elephant or maybe a rhinoceros.
I thought that was
my recollection
from an earlier age.
Well, my recollection is at least one of the beasts sounded a lot like some of the Shan Chan.
Yeah, that
beasts. Too. Is that? Did anyone else recall that? I'd have to go back and like read the descriptions again, but I feel like every time I read this chapter, I have that sort of recollection.
Yep.
Yeah. It just like I really like this part of the book with the thing because there's several like and you'll get more when we get to Rudim, but there's several parts in the book where you're really like, this is a post-apocalyptic world. And they're just finding stuff that, like, you're just like, wait, that's a modern thing. And later on, they're going to find some stuff. The Wonder Girls are going to find some stuff in an attic. And they're going to have more kind of, like, anachronistic devices that, do things. Like,
I've noticed the sea folk have certain items, especially in the much later chapter. They have certain familiar items and everything.
Yeah.
Like wireframe holding lenses that are
but there's certain devices that
ears.
You put power through them and they can show you information and you're just like, oh, this is funny. I love that part about this book.
Yeah. So reading through it again, the one that's probably the most obvious is there seems to be the skeleton of a giraffe.
Yeah, with the long neck. Yeah, I remember. I did recall that.
Like, maybe like a saber-toothed tiger or something like that. I don't know. There's some good ones.
Yeah, and so basically, she's just looking, and she's like, I don't see. There's no people here. There's rats and there's rats. There's dogs, and then, I mean, there are people like flying out of thin air and going back up. And apparently, one dude that I recall had mustaches. I was like, is this Tom Maryland? I'm like, who is this? Is this even important? Because a man appears out of thin air and then vanishes. So
well, I think you can safely assume that she would recognize Tom Maryland.
yeah, that's what I was thinking too. So I was like, the mustaches part, I was like, is this Tom Maryland? But then the fact that she didn't recognize him tells me otherwise. So yeah, you're right. So, but somebody appeared, so I'm guessing, I don't know, important, whether or not, I don't know. But there's birds around, there's flies, there's like I said, lean dogs, and there are rats in the. How do you feel about rats being in the stables, Pips? How do you feel about that? Isn't that offensive?
It's the one and only good use for cats.
Yeah, I agree.
The only reason to allow cats to exist.
Yeah, so apparently Egwene does not quite have control down. So when she just starts thinking about, when she thinks about something, she appears. So she ends up transporting herself into the waste version of Teleron Riyadh, and then she runs into a maiden of the spear, and who's hunting, I think, a boar or something. And she does this a few times where the second time she nearly gets killed by the boar. So and then she wears, she like, makes herself wear the stuff that the Yael wear. I forget what they call it. And the woman gets offended by that. What's it called?
Cat and sword.
So, okay, cancer right here. And so basically, so you have no right to wear this. And so she ends up stripping. Egwene is naked or something. I don't remember when this happens. This is just stuff I'm recalling right now. And she ends up going back to Tanchico, and just once again, freaking, just starts running around. And then she eventually flies. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, what the hell's going on here? So now she's flying. And then I was thinking, oh, I know where George R. R. Martin got his idea for, the three-eyed raven and the like learn to fly.
Are you sure it wasn't a groan?
Am I sure it wasn't what?
A groan?
The three-eyed raven. Are you sure the three-eyed raven wasn't a groan?
I don't know. Probably was. So, but yeah. So apparently, so she's flying over Tanchico, and she's like, maybe I shouldn't fly because they'll see me, the Black Aja and stuff. And then she runs, and then a woman basically appears in front of her. Actually, no, there's one thing I did note. Apparently Brigitte makes an appearance in Tanchico, or that wasn't the waste, right? That was in Tanchico.
Very briefly.
So apparently she, even though she's long dead, but she's still bound to the Horn of Valir, she can still appear in the world of dreams.
Yeah, I was going to make the point that Gadfly just made right now is that the Dream World introduction is actually really neat. The rules are all laid out and demonstrated before they're explained. And yeah, I remember reading this chapter and thinking that this is a great way to do world building without doing an info dump. It's like you have somebody exploring something, and we learn a lot of stuff. And some of the important stuff that I remember from reading this way back in the day was how she sees people popping in and out because they're sleeping, and that it is like, I don't know if somebody told her, or she realizes that some people didn't return because they died. So immediately your stakes are there, and there's other things you can do that you can't do in the real world. You can change your location, you can fly, you can change your clothes and stuff like that.
And that's the difference between dreaming, just normal dreaming, and then dream walking.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. So, for example, in the world of dreams, if you were in a true dream to the point where you could have a conversation with another dreamer, something like that, right?
Yeah.
And you were to say stab yourself with a katana, that would have negative ramifications.
Correct. Yeah. So
think of it like the Matrix.
Okay. I'll think of it.
I don't know. By the way, I just drew that example out of totally thin air. That's
pulled it completely
resembling nothing. Just sorry for the non sequitur.
Yeah, just hypothetical.
So apparently, from doing all this flying, she encounters the same woman that she accidentally ran into in in the waste. And we find out her name is Amis, and she is of the Nine Valley Sept of the Tardad Aiel. So I got a question. All right, so we're getting into Aiel shit now, and Aiel shit gets kind of confusing. So, in Game of Thrones, the Sept is basically
what's
a church.
confusing about the Aiel? They're a bunch of
I'm not finished, bro. I'm not finished. I was going to ask, what exactly is a Sept? Is that like a clan? Is that like a the Nine
It's like a
Valleys
smaller
Sept?
part of it's like a sept, and then within a sept there's clans.
So the Tardad is
so-
like the the Tardad
So
is
the
clan.
highest is clan.
Yeah,
Right.
clan, sept.
So you have clan chiefs, right? And there are the clans of the Aiel. And then you have Sept below that, and then you have Hold. So when she says I'm from Cold Rock's Hold of the Nine Valleys Sept of the Tardad Aiel, she's saying essentially the Hold is like, this is the village that I'm from, right? This is my like familial sort of town community.
Yeah.
And then you have multiple holds that are part of septs, and there are
So Sept is like a state. So
septs.
Sept is like a state. So Hold is
It's
more
probably
local.
more like county.
Sept is more like a
So-
state or county, whatever. And the clan would be more, I don't know, nation.
like a state.
Like
Although
a
it's
state.
Or a state. Okay.
they're familial lineages, so it's a little bit more nebulous than that, right? I'll say this, like that's the 10,000-foot overview, and the Aiel structure and like politics and stuff, like read and find out.
Right, of course. I know the Aiel is supposed to be based off the Zulu clan from South Africa. So
And also a bunch of like Native
to an
American
extent,
people.
yeah. There's a lot of Cherokee involved.
oh,
Oh,
okay.
like
There's some
Navajo.
Berber sort of nomadic kind of Muslim influence. Yeah.
So just not just one thing, but a whole bunch of things, which is pretty much what Robert Jordan himself has said.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but so apparently Amis is basically Yoda, and she's like, I have to train you, Egwene. You have to come to Dagobah.
I mean, yeah, but she's Yoda, but with like huge tracts of land. I mean, Amos she's a piece. We should recognize that. I feel like we should all say, and that's what we appreciate about her. And
Always. Yes.
Okay.
fine. Nobody else wants to
Nope.
appreciate.
Your opinion is noted and acknowledged and correct. There's nobody's arguing with you.
Okay.
Well, good.
So apparently we learn that from Amos right here that Tanchico has a darkness, an evil present in the city. So left a lot to my imagination. So obviously Egwene thinks it's freaking the Black Aja. I want to think it's something else. I want to think there's another fantasy element. Maybe there's another evil entity lurking, or something outside of our mass gallery of villains. I mean, if it's just the Forsaken, I might be a little disappointed, but
I mean, it's
Let's see.
Portland. Like, there's so many evils.
yeah. So I'm curious.
Oh,
I'm really,
come on! It's not Portland. Arid Hall was Portland.
Wait, what? Wait, what? Which one? Oh,
Shadow Logos.
of course. So yeah, that's basically chapter 11. She's like, all of a sudden, Egwene wakes up and she's like, you must train, you must come to Cold Rock's Hold, and that's how the chapter ends. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is getting interesting now. So yeah, so maybe I'll lower my score on your fuck around, find out. 6 out of 10, maybe. We'll see.
We'll see.
We're gonna.
Is there
going to be a score at the end of the stream?
Yeah, there's gonna be a pop quiz, and the
Pop quiz. Okay.
Yep, the rules are made up. The points don't matter, but it will be sort of final and definitive. So the one thing I would say, Alex, you tell me if you think I'm right here. So the first 3 books are about the heroes. They are telling us almost, I would say, in sequence. They are telling us who Rand is, who Perrin is, who Matt is, kind of in that order for the first 3 books. Obviously, all of them have larger and smaller parts to play. Obviously, the Great Hunt still has a lot about Rand, right? But Matt is, pretty kind of suppressed in that book because of the influence of the dagger. So it's really it's now Rand and Perrin. So it's added Perrin to the mix, and then the Dragon Reborn is adding Matt unsuppressed by the deleterious influence of the dagger. It's adding him to the mix, and you're starting to see his character shine. The Shadow Rising is the inflection point where Robert Jordan says like, and now introducing the Red Team, and like we start to actually understand and get to know the Black Aja, the Forsaken, Dark Friends, the bad things moving in the world that previously were just like big baddies who were like on a whole nother level than our heroes, and our heroes through like pluckiness and grit and that darned mutt, we're kind of getting through, and it changes in this book, I think.
And one thing I did notice based on just observing the chapters and all that is that whereas the first 3 books everybody converged, so people got separated and then they reconverged at a point. Usually, you had Camelin in the first book, you had Falme in the second book, you had Tyr in book 3, and it seems like in this case they stay separated for a while. They don't just reconverge at the end of this book. Actually, that's part of the reason why I'm finding this more interesting. So it's interesting change in direction, like you said, inflection point. So,
gotcha. Just so long as we remember, the main point of this chapter is Egwene getting dunked on.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I probably would have thought, maybe chapter 12 should have been part of chapter 11. Just keep going, because it's basically it's nonstop. So
I agree. Combine all the women talking chapters into one. That way it's
So chapter 12 is Tanchico.
The views of the panel do represent the views of the Nerporial.
I don't know what that means, Pips. All right. So chapter 12. So what goes on in chapter 12? So she wakes up. Egwene wakes up and basically tells everybody, "Hey, I ran into this person named Amos. I have to go to the Waste to train and become a better dreamwalker. And they're like, and I think right away, I can't forget her name. Avienda is like, oh shit. And so we find out that she's actually supposed to. She was summoned to go to Roydian for reasons that aren't revealed in this chapter. So, but we find out we find out more stuff about the Aiel. I think once again, because we learned this stuff. I believe we learned this stuff in the last book, but like the whole sister wives and brothers, sister and sister brother, and trying to remember, sister mother. And so apparently if you're related to your mother's, you have a better relation in this society. You have a better relationship with your mother's family than your father's family. So it's funny. It's funny to hear that, because it's actually in my life that's actually turned out to be true, because I have nothing to do with my dad's family whatsoever. So but yeah, we've learned quite a bit about that. And so Avienda's just like, I don't want to do this. I'm far Darius Mai. I'm into the spear. And then we find out that Moraine actually has a letter from the Wise Ones, basically, got delivered. It's like a Back to the Future Part 2 thing, where they knew that they were going to be there.
I'll say that I think while they have their issues, the Wise Ones are much better named than the Aes Sedai.
Like who we got? We got freaking. We have Amos. We have. We have.
No, I mean as an
Sienna.
organization.
What do you mean?
So like the wise ones are like actually reasonably wise, like that follows the whole servants of all Aes Sedai, like you damn liars,
lying
full of shit.
Okay. And apparently the wise ones are all dreamwalkers, whereas Aes Sedai are. There was only one dreamwalker like hundreds of years ago, and so Egwene is like the first one in like 500 years.
Some of them are, some of them aren't. I don't think
It's still considered rare.
Yeah,
but it's not unheard of rare. It's rare. We're talking blue weapons, not exotic gold weapons.
Okay. Is it required to? Is it required to be a dream walker in order to be a wise one?
No.
Nope.
No.
Speaking of which, all right, finish your thought. Sorry, Pips. Finish your thought.
What I will say is that there is an in-world explanation that you will get in time as to why the wise ones have, at least a number of dreamwalkers, and the Aes Sedai don't. So those types of things will get answered. It's not just that the Aes Sedai suck, although that is frequently the answer. Anyway.
Okay, so this gentleman is my streaming bro. He's late, and dude, what is this? Come on, man! This is a gun-free stream,
dude.
Steve,
I'm dealing with stuff. I had to take a shit. It's been a long afternoon. Okay,
Fuckboy Steve is here.
I need to have my avatar roll his sleeves up.
What? I'm lost. All I heard was Aes Sedai suck, and I agree.
Sorry. Steve joins. I'm gonna have to go take a cold shower. You guys continue for a while.
Sorry.
Everybody subscribe to Prophet of the Dragon, by the way.
Yeah, right.
Rocking the merch.
Yeah, rocking that merch. So
the Bookporeal rolls up into our house wearing a Steve shirt. I'm like, damn.
yeah, pretty much. So how you doing, Steve? You've been busy, obviously. So
yeah.
Do you even remember the chapter? Have you remembered any initial thoughts on chapters?
I didn't get to read any of it, to be honest. So, I'll ride the wave and remember stuff as you guys talk about it. Usually, that's what I end up having to do anyways. But I don't even know where you're at, to be honest. All I know is
we're gonna let the Prophet of the Dragon. We're going to let the Prophet of the Dragon ride again on the winds of the reading of the Wheel of Time.
Wing it as we do, right? I mean, that's winging is sort of my style.
So Egwene just met Amos for the first time in the world of dreams. So she has to go to the Waste to learn from her how to be a better dream walker.
So Egwene's been
be a better Jedi and everything. So
is she stripped naked yet and whipped within with a birch? Like she should be?
Just naked in the dream world.
Oh, okay. Sorry. The meetings haven't begun yet? Damn.
This is the origin of Robert Jordan's sort of chauvinist, kind of misogynist reputation. All of the women naked all of the time, just like obviously the books are very sexualized, obviously, lots of sex scenes, graphic.
There was some full bosom. There was some full bosom going on in this chapter.
There's some Terry Goodkind stealing confessor stuff going on here, so
Terry Goodkind's best book, The Stones of Tyr.
I feel like claiming that an author who uses the word bosom is overly sexualizing things is a real reach. If
you read Song of Ice and Fire, Jesus Christ!
Oh my God! If you read
the word bosom, I think was invented in the Middle Ages to desexualize. Gadfly, don't fact check me on that. That's totally legit.
I was just gonna say I liked this chapter because it really reinforces the idea that we're going to use nakedness as a shaming ritual.
Yeah, shame and vulnerability.
Yeah.
There's a reason he uses bosom and not big ass titties. Like let's keep things in perspective here.
And there's some times that it seems like that would have been more appropriate. Am I right? I mean, like, whew,
Hi,
some
Absolutely.
of those ladies.
Speaking of big ass titties, are we done with them talking?
Not quite. So yeah. So apparently we learn Amos, and so Rourke is has like his couple wives and all that. So and Amos is one of them.
Chad.
Yeah. And Rourke is in a later chapter. I kind of liked what he does in a later chapter. But that was a fun later chapter. We'll definitely get into that. So, but yeah, so apparently Egwene leaves. She's not going to use the twisted ring going forward. So she's actually going to.
So real quick, how awesome is Ruark, and over under on him not getting anywhere near the show?
Yeah.
Ruark.
So okay, I
She's
actually
gonna be in the show.
I have a question.
It's gonna be Ruark Ina. Okay, Ruark
Yeah.
Ina.
I saw.
It's gonna be
I saw-
Rubina.
Rowena, there you go.
Was this in the trailer? I don't mean to derail the stream, but wasn't Rourke in the trailer?
No.
Like there was a white-haired Aiel dude in like a trailer or something.
No,
No,
that
that
was.
was-
Speaking of,
Hot Dane. No, that was Elder Bornhold or something.
Yeah, there was no-
No, it was
no
there
male-
was Tomas, Varen's warder, in going. Everybody's like, "Ooh, who's this long white-haired guy? Is that something interesting?" And no, it was fucking Tomas going
Yeah,
into
there
the
was
fucking
no-
tomato garden.
remember
Did
remember the bingo card. 0 male Aiel in season 2. 0.
Oh, shit.
So unless they like made him a female, I can't wait for Aiel to be asexual, and women can give birth to Aiel. That's
Well,
gonna
they're
be my
not
favorite part.
asexual because the first introduction to Aiel culture is them making sex jokes. First between
So when you have
and Perrin, and then the two girls talking about Perrin and Avienda, like, "Oh, you joined? Why are you late?" Like, "Oh, I bet you were banging this wetlander." Like,
and then they
I
beat
mean,
the shit out of him and
paraphrased,
say
but
you
like,
have toe.
that's what it was.
You were late. You have toe. Let me beat the crap out of you.
Yeah. So apparently in this they bring up like the whole sister wife, sister mother thing, and so I forget who brings. I don't know if it was Elaine or somebody brings up, hey, maybe Elaine and Egwene can be sister wives to Rand, and Egwene's like nah. And then Elaine's thinking maybe men.
That's what
little known sort of Randland kind of trivia question. If you're wanting to know the answer to the name the date in the Wheel of Time series where Rand should have bought all of the scratch off lotto tickets, it's that day when Egwene is like, "Nah, I don't want to be around this guy."
Yeah,
that right there. Luckiest day for Rand ever. Like, should have bought all the scratchers. Yes.
Not only that, but I'm just fine leaving him to the three of you. Like, man, throw one up to the creator.
Yeah,
big guy was looking down on him that day.
Like you said, sometimes the bullets dodge themselves.
Yep.
So apparently, the first thing Moraine says when she enters, she enters the thing. We find out that the two prisoners, two Black Aja, are dead, Joya and Amiko. And apparently, what's funny was the guards were not at fault. They were watching them the entire time, or they were there the entire time. But yet somehow, some shadow creature got to them. I think slit their throats and nailed their tongues to the door. I was just like, wow. So
because they're talkers, brah. Man, the shadow is not, when you think about it, the shadow's not really that evil, right? I mean, you just murder people.
They're just hungry.
Yeah.
They're just hungry.
Misunderstood and hungry.
Misunderstood. Like bad people. I mean, there's something that bad people
they're good. There's good inside them, the shadow creatures that kill people and send a message. I mean, that's normal, right? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
Mixed up again.
So I'm curious if there's a new form of shadow creature out there that can, get to people easily. So
bum, bum, bum.
That was the thing, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, you three. That is the thing that the guy has, right? From the boxy thing, or was that another thing? You know the thing Matt has to deal with? That was that thing,
Yeah.
right? Or was it a gray man? I don't remember.
I
It
don't
wasn't
know.
a gray man.
I don't think. I don't know if it was ever definitively stated, although I think I know who or what did it.
Yeah,
And honestly, I think somebody might. I think credit might be claimed for it later. To be honest.
Okay. So yeah, it's just something that's just something that I thought about. I was curious about, so I thought that was interesting. And of course, so Avienda has to go to Shandir above Roydian, and of course she doesn't want to do it, but she's got to because of the note, and Rourke is for it.
I loved in that part just how reluctant Avienda was to go. And it's so funny because there is just no explanation. She's like, I'm not going to go. I'm Father Ice May. Like, you can't make me. I'm not going to. You just like, I was wondering for a really long time, like, well, why? Why don't you want to go? And, yeah.
So I got so when I was on my way to Iowa, I listened up to a certain, like 3/4 of the way through chapter 23. That's a long chapter. Find out why Avienda was summoned like that. So we'll discuss that. We'll discuss that in a future stream. So obviously, but yeah, like I think that's pretty much it. That's pretty much chapter 12. So basically, Moiraine's just like, hey, Elaine, Nynaeve, you guys are going to go to take this particular ship, of the Athaan Mir, or the Sea Folk, and they will get to Chico really quickly. So
Oh God, the sea folk. Oh.
So okay. So I asked Alex about this earlier, and you have the exact same reaction. So I was like, that we're learning a little bit about the sea folk.
I had the same reaction as Alex.
Yeah,
Yes.
Alex had the same reaction.
The sea folk are completely useless, and they should be cut from every story that ever existed. There is no reason for them. All they are is annoying, and like every chapter that a sea folk, wave mistress, sail mistress, whatever mistress is in, is worse for them being in it, except for the fact that they're all naked.
So you know they're gonna be in the show now.
Oh,
they're going to be in the show, and they're not going to be naked.
Annoying
to cut,
women
they're going
that
to put in the show.
Mess things up. Yeah,
let's just lay out the facts here. The Sea Folk are a firm matriarchy that is run by like actually described and written Black people.
Mm-hmm. They're like, I think they were supposed to be
I'll at least say or like people of color, because they're dark skinned. I don't think like actually like African dark skin.
No,
they don't have like blue eyes or something.
All I know is
irrelevant. They are 100% going to be there.
All right, they already said they're going to be, because it's probably the most annoying single group of people in the whole story, like easily. And you'll know when you get to Elaine dealing with them. Oh God!
I heard that's a big story arc in the later books.
Elaine and the Sea Folk is the Messi v Ronaldo of fucking worthless, annoying bullshit.
It's the worst thing ever, and them fucking around probably kills several tens of thousands of people because they're just assholes. But you'll get there. I'm getting ahead of myself. The Sea Folk are terrible.
All I want to say is that the Sea Folk are not terrible at this point in the story. Y'all are being a little too negative for where he is reading.
But they haven't done anything yet. They're just sort of
there. Vandal, you stole the words right out of my mouth. Yeah, South Indian, like Sri Lanka, that kind of area.
The Sea Folk should just have been
South
taxis. That's it. They should just been
like that kind of like Aboriginal.
The Sea Folk should have been like Sea Folk should have been like MacGuffin Transit. You need a boat? Oh, there's a Sea Folk Windfinder right there. We can travel now. That should have been all they were. I hate them so much.
All right, so that's okay. So that's practically chapter 12. So apparently, Egwene is going to be going to the Waste, and Elaine and Nynaeve are going to be going to Tant Chico. So So yeah, so now chapter 13. So any final thoughts, any final points on chapter 12 that we didn't bring up?
No.
Okay. So chapter
Egwene progressively gets worse from here. Just saying.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know if that's true or not.
She had some
starts,
good spankings though. Like, oof, those wise ones.
This is where I think, to be fair, this is where Rand makes a major shift at the end of Dragon Reborn into this book. You can see his personality shift. Even Michael Kramer delivers him differently.
Oh, absolutely. I noticed that right away.
Yeah, I think something similar happens to Egwene after she's dealt with the wise ones for a little bit. There's a big character shift. This is sort of the start of it. I think is the best. Whether you look, I'm being a little bit hyperbolic. I don't mind Egwene as much as a lot of other people. There are points where she's insufferable, but
I find these are the more okay Egwene chapters.
Yeah.
Like the later books, No.
She's still developing into her own here, right? I mean, she's fine right now.
Yeah, I noticed Egwene's Kate Redding's delivery of Egwene. She's very, very, very tries to pretend to be innocent, like that type of deal. So I'm curious how that's gonna.
He's a phony.
Shift.
Phony.
Egwene is.
Yeah. I mean, that's what do you say? Psychopaths tend to pretend.
I think the only way to read Egwene's character is that she's a psychopath. Is beheading squirrels.
The way most women are.
Has she ever shown any? Has she ever shown? Okay, all right. Well, I'll read and find out. I guess I'm curious if throughout at this point in the story, has she ever shown any any emotional being happy for someone, showing empathy? I don't think so, right? That's kind of why you think
that the reason that I think that she's a psychopath is specifically the lack of empathy.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
would you agree with that? I
haven't seen any empathy from her.
She shows emotions, right? Like she can be happy, sad, but so can psychopaths. It's just that she does not demonstrate the capacity to empathize with other people.
And there's no remorse either. So when she she attacks one of the White Cloaks or something, and she gets chewed out by Varen, I think in the Dragon Reborn. I don't recall her feeling bad or or owning it or something.
Yeah.
She says all the right things, which is what a psychopath does. But
yeah,
you made me do this.
Yeah, exactly. Or she blamed her bad experiences with the Sean Chan and all that. So,
and I can't believe I'm about to say this. In defense of Egwene, might be valid.
Give another one. One more. No, I fully agree. She probably has some legit PTSD that is a part of how she acts. But I think that the reason that she never shows the crazy PTSD symptoms that you might expect, I think is because I think it's the psychopath angle, right? That's people talk about psychopathy and they're like, well, what is the evolutionary niche for psychopathy? Why does that exist in the species? And it's people like Egwene. Psychopaths can deal with some really bad shit happening to them, and for the vast majority of human history, that was an advantageous trait.
Yeah.
Play Oregon Trail and tell me that you don't have to be a psychopath to get to the other side.
Oh my god, I have died of dysentery so many times.
Yeah, and you can
kind of see it again.
Yeah, you can kind of see it in the way that the other characters react to power. Rand in power is a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Perrin and Matt spend their entire existence denying that they have power and not wanting to use power. Nynaeve uses the little power that she has to assist others. Egwene goes on a fucking power trip. And like,
Nynaeve at least believes she's helping others. I think that Egwene, and like without spoiling things, we should probably not go into any further detail.
Yeah,
I think
say, wow,
Egwene,
Egwene power trip.
The Matt chapter that we get next.
yes, that's that's fair. Good job. It is the best chapter of the ones we've covered so far.
I love Matt chapters. I like Matt and Rand chapters.
We get two of them in this block, chapter 13 and 15. So yeah, chapter 13 is called Rumors, and this was an interesting one. So this is one where Matt's just hanging out in the bar in Tyr, and just he recounts the stone stands, because we don't know where Matt was. We see Perrin, we see Moraine. We didn't see Matt. We don't know where he was, but apparently, a gray man tried to attack him too, and he managed to obviously off the gray man, and then of course the Murdral tried to. He encounters the Murdral, and he tries to throw. I think if I remember correctly, tries to throw a blade at the Murdral, and it just slaps it away like it's nothing. But then, luckily for him, a bunch of Trollocs killed the Murdral. So one thing from that we remember is that there was like two factions of Trollocs and Shadowspawn fighting each other in that one, because like we saw that with Rand. So Rand nearly gets killed by a Trolloc, and another Trolloc kills the Trolloc that was about to kill him.
What chapter are we on? I'm sorry.
We're on chapter 13.
13.
But we're recounting chapter 10. Matt is recounting in his inner monologue chapter 10.
I'm just making sure the one thing didn't happen yet with a certain door.
No, that's chapter 15.
Gotcha.
I like something in the recount of the attack. The fact that the Fade calls him Hornsounder.
I was just getting that.
And you notice the Fade says Hornsounder. It doesn't say.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Wait, what happened?
Yeah. I don't know why.
Hips identifies as a slinky one. That's why I made that sound.
Yeah, I don't know why I would think that a Fade would make a sound like a screeching hiss or something, but in case anyone was wondering.
Oh, you mean Fades can't talk? Yeah.
No, they can't. That's what
they screech and scream.
Fades lives matter
should
too.
Make that noise. The Drakars should make that noise, but Fades, they're creepier.
Well, Drakars should be like singing and stuff. Like it should be an entrancing song, right? I mean.
And you think because they're
right? No,
stealthy.
I mean, they could hiss too when they bite your head off. Yeah.
I think it says in because we just listened to that. It says something about them making like noises when they got stabbed and stuff, or that when they got stabbed by the warders. But generally, no, they have nice voices and sounds.
Did we overlook an explanation for episode 5 of the first season? Maybe the warder funeral was actually a Drakkar crooning to all of them and then ripping out the audience's soul.
Maybe. Yeah. They don't know Drakkars exist, but other than that, it's a good theory. They don't know the Drakkars.
That was actually an adaptation of the audience getting a Drakkar kiss.
That's possible.
That scene.
Yeah.
They skipped the Drakkar chapters. They don't know what they are.
I like this chapter a lot because it's like you start to get some examples of the Taviran effect. And I know, when I was reading this book, I was so torn on the idea of Taviran. I'm like, is this just like kind of a lazy like plot armor, kind of a like literary trick, or is this legitimate? And I liked this chapter because you have Matt trying to do something, except that there's always something that keeps him from doing it. So it starts out, it's not just a get out of jail free card. It's it's more of a like in-world kind of like a force that's happening that's pulling them.
I actually like Sanderson's description of it, is where the Taviran effect basically gets you where you need to be. It's up to them to actually do it.
Yeah.
I actually think that's
Pip's making
what?
funny comments.
Sorry.
Trying to trigger me.
I just think it's a
No. I think it's good. I agree.
I think it's just a good description.
Explanation, but I see Pips is trying to trigger me here. And,
I think it's a great description, and it's simple. Even if you don't agree with it completely, it's simple. It's like No, to
Yeah,
Viren
it's like
is
what
it puts
they-
them in a position to be where they need to be. Then it's up to them to see it through, which I think is
Yeah.
exactly what it
It's
is.
like we said in screenwriting, you can use a coincidence to get yourself in trouble. You cannot use a coincidence to get yourself out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
My
So
favorite bit about this particular Taverin effect is it's, the pattern basically goes, oh no, Matt is thinking about doing something we don't want him to do. Quick, throw some titties in his face to distract him.
But all three of them aren't. Don't they all have they all have an equivalent effect on each other? I know apparently according to this, Rand has a major effect on him. That's why he hasn't been able to leave, or he's always come up with some excuse to not leave. So, but has his thing affected anybody else? Like Rand, for instance.
They all pull on each other. But,
yeah, they all pull
Rand,
on each other.
So I think the way to describe it is if you ever had like a team of horses, right? One of them in the team, one of them is rigged as the lead, right? However, like they all have to pull together, but like one of them is the one that steers, right? And Rand is that. So like
sled
Rand
dogs
can't,
too, right?
Yeah, Rand can't break the sort of the tack and the all of the rigging and stuff like that. Like he has to still go like where the team is going, but like Rand is the primary sort of force, right? I don't know. The only other thing that I was going to say is I think this chapter is probably a good example that what we had previously only seen happen to Rand is now we see it happening to all of the Taviran, where like being a Taviran does not mean everything goes your way, right?
Yeah, true. Mark Clark for $4.99. I always pictured the drag car looking like Bella Lugosi.
I think that's a great thing.
That's
Me too. I'm
very
gonna agree
fair.
with that. Yeah, they always had sort of a like.
Who's Bela Lugosi?
The guy that played Dracula like way back in the
1930.
Okay.
Pretty.
Okay, I got you.
That's
yeah.
not silent. Sorry.
As far as Taverin go, I always kind of viewed it like the Earth and the Moon, like the Earth pulls on the Moon.
Yeah, there's definitely like an orbital effect, like gravitational thing.
Yeah,
okay.
The Moon also pulls on the Earth, but it's not as big, so it's not as powerful. That's why we get the tides. But the Earth drags the Moon around, and the Moon doesn't do that to the Earth. And that's kind of the difference in power, Taverin power levels between Rand and the other two. I don't know
can I ask?
That's a much better analogy. But as the horse in the panel, I had to use my analogy.
You wanted horse. That's fair.
I always correct me if I'm wrong. I always felt like Rand was. Is there many instances of Perrin and Matt pulling Rand to do something? Because I know there's a lot of times where Rand seems to trump them because he's the Dragon Reborn, right?
Yeah. So the biggest example that I can think is in the later books. Anytime one would think of the other, they'd kind of get hit with the Taverin bomb colors.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm trying to think. There was never really an instance where the pattern needed Rand to get to Matt or Perrin. And it dragged him there. Is there one? I don't know. Like I know we're far afield of Shadow Rising here, but I'm just like I know Rand is busy tugging everybody every which way, but I don't remember if there's one where Perrin or Matt does the opposite from him.
So I think.
Go ahead, Pips.
I was just going to say that I think that there's not a super dramatic example, which is actually why I think that the Earth and the Sun or the Earth and the Moon is actually a really good analogy because if you think of the Earth and the Sun, right, like technically the Earth and the Sun are both orbiting each other. However, the mass differential is so large that the shared point of orbit is actually still inside the Sun, right? So they're both orbiting a point of space that is between the two of them. It's just still inside the Sun. Same thing with the Sun, with the Earth and the Moon. Like we share an orbital point, and so you wouldn't expect to see noticeable changes in Rand from Perrin and Matt. I think there's a lot of small stuff that is happening throughout the entire series, though.
All right. Yeah, I wouldn't.
Okay. All right. Makes sense, I guess. I had no
I
idea.
guess
I always thought the. Never mind.
I'll throw one example. I think that we agreed that in the Dragon Reborn, when Matt was dicing against Komar, Rand walked past the door of the inn, and I think that like, why did Rand choose like that path? And like those would be the types of pull on Rand. I think where like he is subtly being manipulated to like choose this street instead of that because the draw that they all feel for each other.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So going back to chapter 13. So apparently, Matt overhears conversation, and well, this is where things start to happen. So he overhears a conversation about the two rivers, and he hears White Cloaks, and he's just like, shit. I have to. He's like, he literally goes to them and asks them, hey, tell me everything. And so he finds out that they're hunting. They're looking for, they're hunting for the Dragon Reborn and the Dark Friend, who just happens to have yellow eyes. So obviously that means they're hunting for Perrin. And Matt's just like, shit. Leaves them a gold piece, and then runs to Perrin.
Perrin the murderer.
Perrin the murderer. Yeah.
Perrin the not murderer in this.
Jesus. How do you get it so wrong? It happened in the books, though, guys. He is a murderer. Don't forget.
Apparently, yeah. So,
Jesus.
But apparently Perrin already knows about this, and he's already talked to Rand about it, and Rand's like, okay, go do it. I can't go with you because that's where they would expect me to go. They being, well, the bad guys, I guess. So,
yep.
So apparently,
Rand is infatuated with doing random crap because he thinks
random.
Well, yeah, I mean, so what? It doesn't make it any less true, man. Like, he's like, okay, what is likely to happen? Okay, the Two Rivers is under attack. Well, I want to go here, but I can't because I'm gonna walk into a Forsaken trap of 10 Forsaken sitting there waiting for me, right? So he's obsessed now with doing, okay, what is the stupidest thing I could do? Well, not stupidest, but what is the least likely thing they could see me doing? Oh, okay, going this way, right? So that's basically that's almost how he runs his whole life from here out.
He is trying to be really
thing.
clever. Yeah, like he's really trying hard to be clever, and sometimes manages it. Like sometimes manages to like actually be clever. Other times not so much, and like you'll see that. One of the things that I think is important to take away from this is, I think, the first time where we see Rand making calculations like a lord or a king would, where he's like, Perrin has this, he has this conversation with Perrin, and in Rand's mind, Perrin is immediately a pawn. Like, maybe not a pawn. He might be a rook. He might be a bishop. I'm not going to get into finer details. But he is positioning him on a board because he's trying to do some grand strategy over here, but he can't do nothing about the Two Rivers that is still important to him. So he's like,
I was going to ask why, like, because it seems like Matt's having a hard time with, separating himself, but yet Perrin is able to leave.
You'll see why.
He still, I mean, he admits that he still feels, the pull, but he manages to go anyways.
Well, because
I think you can answer your own question if you think about it. So what do we know happened to Matt when he was trying to do something, right? And why did that happen? Like what prevented Matt from leaving?
What prevented him from leaving? I don't know, making it just dice.
Yeah, but like not the individual events. Like, why did things keep on coming in between him and his plans to leave? Like, why was that happening?
I don't even remember.
Well, I mean, you already kind of said it, right? It's the fact that he's Taviran, and the pattern is weaving him into it, right? And so if he tries to go outside of where the pattern needs his thread to be, it's going to use the threads around him to pull him back into line, right?
I think it's sort of like, okay, so with Matt's
So what does that have to do with Perrin?
Well, with Matt's case, so with Matt's case, the pattern needs Rand needs Matt with him for stuff that's going on later. The pattern needs Perrin to actually go. Rand and the pattern need this to be taken care of too, but Rand still needs him too. That's why he still feels the pull, but he's able to overcome it because the need for him to go take care of this other situation is greater. So he is able to resist the pull back to Rand because the pull to the two rivers is stronger.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's how I interpret it.
No, I think you're dead on.
Crushed it.
He goes because the pattern wants him to go. Matt can't go because the pattern doesn't want him to go. Right? What you have to remember about Taviran, and this is why so many of us were offended by the idea of make everyone Taviran, is that the characters of Taviran characters are they're characters on rails, right? They can slow down or speed up, but they can't depart from the path, right?
Yeah.
They might crash headlong into a wall and go no further, right? We see that with the flicker scene, right? A lot of ways Rand's story does not end out well, right? But at the end of the day, he's going in this direction and is sort of along for the ride.
Yeah. So, okay, but okay.
Basically,
that makes. So, in other words, the pattern is basically manipulating things, obviously, and of course,
a little bit.
Because they're Taviran, they just have this pull that basically makes them very important in this particular time. They're driving the events of history in this regard.
Yeah.
So, and they're going to continue to do so.
It's simply Rand. The pattern knows Rand's going to need Matt, and Matt needs Rand in this instance. So he's not going to let. It's the pull is too great to stay with Rand because of things that are going to happen and things that need to happen, or things that places they need to be. Perrin actually needs to be in the two rivers, so it's pulling him there. Therefore, even though Rand's not done with him, he is, his drive to go to the two rivers is not, stopped because that's where he needs to be.
Okay. So getting this stream back on track. So apparently, Perrin has to leave anyways. They're like, well, if basically, why do you have to go back? I mean, do they know who you are? And he's like, yeah, they do know who I am. They know my name, and they'll go after people I care about. And so, and what's interesting about Perrin, and I think this goes into the next chapter, but he is resigned to die. That's why he doesn't want Fael to go with him at all. He's willing to just surrender himself, and hopefully the White Cloaks will spare the two rivers. So I thought that was interesting. That leads into the whole bickering thing between him and Fael. And but I'm kind of getting ahead of myself there. But it's just one thing that was interesting that this chapter brings up about Matt, because they're talking about their families. Matt realizes he doesn't remember. I don't think he remembers what his siblings look like because he has all these holes in his memory now.
Yep.
So I thought that was pretty. I thought that was pretty interesting, and I thought it's just I'm curious. I'm curious, because I know he says earlier that he's not really interested in going back home. I'm curious if he ever does go back home. So, but that's just, I guess it's a ring to find out. So.
Wait, didn't you see that scene in the show where he comes back to visit Nynaeve?
Oh wait, what?
Oh yeah, that's right. So yeah, I guess that answers my question then. So. So going a little bit forward. So Matt leaves Perrin, takes his leave of Perrin, and then he encounters Verlaine in in passing, and so she completely dismisses him. Like he bows to her, and she's just like she dismisses him. And interestingly, apparently, he's too much like her. So like she cannot hope to manipulate him. So so apparently she's just like, oh well, whatever. And I don't think there's much else that really happens. He just goes about his business. He's like,
we haven't got to the Berlin Perrin shit yet, have we?
no, that's next chapter. That's the next chapter. So, trying to see if there's anything else important in this chapter. He realizes what he must do. So yeah, he's just like yeah, whatever. Start this. It's like I must do what must be done, or something like. Or no, that's Perrin. He realizes what he must do, and he claims the Aes Sedai and ran for his predicament.
When did he get his shield? Is what I want to know. Oh, sorry, my bad.
So yeah, so that's chapter 13. Rumors. Any final thoughts on that before we go on to chapter 14?
Nope.
No, sir.
All right.
Berlin.
Okay, Customs of Maine. So this was a fun little chapter right here. It was interesting. I was like, okay, how's this gonna play out? So apparently Berlin visits Perrin, and Perrin's getting ready. He's packing up. He's getting ready to leave, and obviously, and she just comes in. And so apparently I'm taking Berlin is pretty much done with Rand. Rand is too dangerous to be around anymore. So now she has her sights set on Perrin. So apparently she's like, I'm going to be leaving for Godan, and she's like, I want you to I think she's like, I want you to come with me or something. I forget exactly how she puts it.
This is some straight up porn dialogue.
Ladies.
Yeah.
Hey Perrin, you wanna? I know I see you're a blacksmith. You wanna make some decorative ironwork for my bedroom? And
ornamental, as Robert Jordan puts it, ornamental ironwork for a bed chamber before he heads to the Two Rivers. Though she clearly has other intentions. Perrin's like, no. And then Fael comes in.
You should have said, fuck yes. That was a wrong answer.
Yeah,
and then she...
Perrin's life goes downhill dramatically from here on out. Yeah,
at least in the lady department. Yeah, for sure.
So Fael comes in, and Berlin just flirts with him in front of her. And Perrin's just like, oh, shit. And then...
Yeah, and of course, that's Perrin's fault.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
people who say that Robert Jordan doesn't know how to write women just need to read these scenes.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, two cats fighting in an alley. Like, oh yeah, he didn't know how to write women though.
Yeah. So
you know what? I can't wait for the show to cast Bernard because Berlin is too hot.
Berlin being 50 is going to be hysterical.
Yep, there he is.
Oh boy.
I mean, or another casting opportunity for Lizzo.
Oh no. So apparently, Berlin takes her leave, and apparently says, "I always get what I want," and everything. And then Fael doesn't say anything. And he's trying to get her to talk about it, and she won't talk about it. And so yeah, they so apparently, well, let's just say, so basically, what starts this argument right here? So Fael storms out. Why does she storm out? Because of what I said earlier. Because Perrin's like, well, Fael's like, when are we leaving? Because they talk about Perrin's going back to the Two Rivers. There's shit going down. And he's like, you're not coming. And she's like, what the fuck, bro? What the fuck? Like, honestly, like, seriously, like, I'm coming with. He's like, no, I'm not going to let you come with. You're going to get killed. I'm not going to be responsible for this. I mean, like we find that, I mean, like once again, you know, Perrin has this very strong sense of duty. He doesn't want her to get hurt because, I mean, like the earlier chapter, you know, she nearly, the axe would have killed her too. You know, he literally throws her out of the room despite her protests and all that. So,
Yeah, how
but
about
yeah.
that? Actually protecting people.
Yeah.
I mean, basically the same as murdering your pregnant wife with an
Yeah,
axe.
or letting
Was
your
she
wolf
pregnant in
letting your
the?
wolf eat. Yeah. If
In,
even if she
season
wasn't, she
one?
was, because it just sounds better. So yeah, she was pregnant. Then he lets.
I mean, here's the only thing I'd say: if she wasn't pregnant, the cinematographers and the shot directors and all these people don't know how to make a movie or a scene.
Well, we know
Which
that.
I understand that as you hear that, it sounds plausible that she's not pregnant. But I think for the purpose of this scene, we should say that they shot a competent scene and Layla was pregnant.
Yeah, well, Layla was pregnant, and then Hopper was pregnant too. We'll just say that, had a litter of puppies.
Yeah. Also, Uno was pregnant.
Uno was pregnant as well. That's true. That's why they embraced so hard. Yeah.
Uno was a birthing person.
pregnant.
There was an Deborah Bornhall was pregnant. That's what the Yellow Eyes do in the show. They instantly make you pregnant, whether you're male or female. Like, you are now pregnant. I have yellow eyes. Have to turn into a werewolf.
The white cloaks are secretly just a bunch of birthing people.
They stole that because of the shock value of the Red Wedding, Game of Thrones. You know, the woman
babies
was
just
pregnant.
pop out of their chest like an alien. It's like, wow, I'm a baby. Right? Yeah, that's it. That way you can get rid of the toxic males and just the females jump out. Like, I'm here. I'm half wolf. There you go.
So, all right. So basically, yeah. So Fael storms out, and so like everything I brought up earlier, he plans to sacrifice himself to the White Cloaks. That's why he doesn't want her to be there. He doesn't want her to witness his death, or he doesn't want her to be caught up in all this. So she storms out. So Fael. Now we're on Fael's point of view. So we leave Perrin. Now we're in Fael's point of view. And what does she do? Well, she confronts Berlin right there. So, what was said? It
was just about
cats fighting in an alley.
So straight up ghetto chick. Stay away from my man, bitch. Like,
yeah, and then
should have just got her royal guard and thrown her in prison or some shit.
I mean, I love that Berlin actually like kind of comes out pretty decent in the exchange.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, just like, yeah, you're just a farm girl. I'm not gonna even hear you. And she's like, well, what is she? I'm actually a noble. I'm actually descendant of nobility from Salvia, and takes out her knife and just starts attacking. Just as a nice little fight right there. I was like, oh, what's going on here? And then Berlin, what does she do? Disarms her and throws her aside or something, because she knows how to. The First of Maine are trained in close combat to fight off against Tyran assassins. So I don't know. I thought that was a cool thing to add. I thought this was a little fun. This was a fun part. And then Berlin's like, I always get what I want, and when you least expect it, Perrin will be mine and everything.
Dude, Berlin should have played some 4D chess there and got stabbed, and then Fael would have had to be in prison, and then she wins. No effort.
Yeah,
that wouldn't have been nearly as satisfying though.
That's
as
true.
Seeing her toss her through the air and just be like, "Oh, that was cute. I remember my first beer."
The only issue with that is in this instance, this would ruin Robert Jordan rubbing it in my nose that Berlin is better than Fael at literally everything.
Everything. And she's not insufferable.
Yeah, and Fael is clearly in the wrong here. I mean, she's just you're gonna straight up you're gonna murder.
I'm just gonna say that Berlin is proof, if you ever needed it, that Robert Jordan is both straight and also not a misogynist. Because the perfect woman is a total badass who's smart, who's cunning, who's like good at like knife skills and is smoking hot. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and we find out later, very extremely politically savvy and smart. Yeah, smart. Very, very smart. I guess you said smart. Yeah, extremely smart.
Fairlane wears the pants in any relationship and wears the dress, and
She's
killer.
actually no. It's like Verlaine. Actually, as the series goes on, she is incredibly, probably one of the smartest people in the book. Like she's incredibly smart.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
At least I feel like that. You guys can agree or disagree. I feel like Verlaine is really tactical and smart.
So apparently, she keeps taunting Fael, and it gets to a point where Fael's like, "Okay, I have another knife. I'm gonna stab at you again." And then Rourke shows up and stops them. And let's just say, he twists Fael's arm, and it basically takes her her knives away and everything. And
again, Ruark being a total badass too. Like,
yes,
again, Ruark.
Dude, Ruark should just taken them both right there.
If you're talking about like B tier characters in the books in terms of like screen time and stuff like that are freaking badasses. Yeah,
I think all Ruark does is win, better. Right? He just wins. That's all he does. He just wins.
Ruark is a major Chad. I love him, but I need to go and make
you know what I want to see? I want to see.
Can I just say this really fast? Is that
sure.
Verlaine is the best, and Fael is fucking crazy. She is like a freaking Kardashian sister, and I never ever like in my head vision her anything else like freaking crazy. Gonna like you try to break up with her, she's gonna key your car and probably kill your cat.
Yeah, she's not even Kim. She's one of the other ones. Yeah.
She's like Chloe or something.
What's that country music song? What's that country music song where she's talking about
crazy? Oh, we hear that.
Carrie Underwood.
Yeah, the Carrie Underwood song. That's Fael.
Yeah, and Verlaine is awesome, and she's just going through her hoe phase. But that's she doesn't have an army. She doesn't have like ways of dealing with politics. So she uses her assets. So I gotta respect her grind.
100%.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm going to bounce out and make lunch / early dinner for my lovely gentleman here and here. So thank you for having me, and I will see you guys around and maybe jump on once I get everything cooking.
You have to tell us so that we can cancel one or both. She's gone. I was going to say she has to tell us if someone asked her to make a sandwich so that we can cancel whoever asked.
She made me some eggs and sausage this morning.
Yeah. Actually, unironically, we had to buy bread because Brian likes toast.
Yeah, like toast.
So I'm counting it.
What's wrong with toast? There's something wrong with toast?
No, nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong.
We don't usually eat toast around here.
Oh, I mean, it is a mayonnaise sort of, a vehicle for mayonnaise ingestion. So I can see Steve being on board.
No, it's not.
All right. So Rourke basically basically confiscates Fael's 2 knives and punishes Verlaine by denying her breakfast the next day. So I was thinking, yeah, that's a bummer. That's a bummer. So, and he's like, if you guys pull this shit again, there's gonna be bigger consequences. So, fuck around, find out, I guess. Right, Pips?
Not really, but yeah.
Remains to be seen. You need to stop bringing it up. It's not helping the case.
What?
you gotta be casual about it.
Yeah, like you gotta be like, hey, act like you've been there before. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. All right, but that's chapter 14, and of course, Fael's like, no matter what happens, Parent's gonna be mine. She's gonna be mine. So now we go into chapter 15.
You are mine, Al. Oh, sorry, I thought we were doing a Shamael with the
or even do Pen Fane. The war is never over, Al Thor. So
yeah.
But yeah, so okay, so I have to actually. This is actually a great quote. Go to Roydian, son of battles. Go to Roydian, trickster. Go, gambler, go. So we're on chapter 15, Into the Doorway.
Who's this
another
person
Matt
you
chapter.
speak of? Who's this guy?
Oh,
sorry.
Matt Trim Coffin.
He's
I don't think he's a
thief.
trickster or a gambler. He's a thief. Yeah, thief.
He's a
thief, peasant, dark one.
He bears a cursed dagger. He wears a bathrobe.
He is a crafter of bedposts.
Yes.
Crafter of bed. Oh, that's right. All right, so Matt, despite the fact that Egwene told him about the doorways in the previous block of chapters, she's just like, "Hey, don't do anything, and to get Moraine's permission before you do anything." Does he? Of course not. Why would he? Why should he? He's not gonna. He doesn't want to even talk to her.
Don't need no permission from an Aes Sedai.
So
Aes Sedai.
I feel like this is one of those scenes that a lot of people use to say how bad of a character Matt is. Like people who exist online, and I'm sorry to admit that these people do in fact exist, I've been led to believe, who dislike Matt's character and don't like him. They point to this scene sometimes, among other ones, where it's like Egwene told him that like Moraine said not to, and Matt went and did it anyway because he doesn't respect women. It's like, well, he's 20 and Egwene is like 15 and a half. Like anyone who's ever been that age, like it's basically his younger sister telling him not to do something. Well, and like of course he's gonna do it.
He already doesn't trust Moraine or the Aes Sedai. Why would he listen to Egwene? He never has before. What's the problem? He's acting completely in character.
Yes.
And he's a curious little fox, right? It's like, I'm gonna go look at the things because that's what I do.
People make it seem like this is such a bad, like, moral failing, and it's like, dude, no. Like anyone who has ever had a younger sister knows exactly how this scene went down.
Yeah. There you go. So apparently, so now at this point, he's just like, I have to figure out what I need to do next. Like this, he's like, I can't get away from Rand, and or there's gonna be more shit that's gonna go down, and I don't know. It's just this whole pull to Varen pull is just too much. So he ends up thinking like, okay, he ends up going by these redstone doorways and all that, and he steps through, and all of a sudden he's in this big freaking hall. He's in this big hall with these crazy looking ceilings. I think it's a dome. I think it's another dome based room he's in. I don't remember. And apparently he comes across a weird looking man. Apparently this man looks like a snake. Apparently got the slid eyes and kind of I don't remember if they have a tongue like a snake. So we get to encounter a new race of creatures or beings in this Wheel of Time world. So hey, fantasy, why not? Apparently, oh yeah, so that's not the eelfin, they're the aelfin, right? Yeah, snake-like features. And they talk about music. I'm curious what that was about. Them talking about music.
I got nothing for you here. I don't.
What happened? Sorry, I just got back.
They talk about music. The Aelfin. They ask him about music, and he's like, "What are you talking about?"
Oh, the Aelfin and the Aelfin really like music.
Yeah.
I think it's a reference to like the Greek underworld or something. How you could, lure or satiate many of the monsters of with music is, I think, like the sirens. What, like the sirens or something?
It's no music, no fire, and no iron. Right? Are the three things that they're not allowed to have? And I think that Alex is correct. I think it's an allusion to a lot of like old sort of mythology, fantasy, things like that. If Gadfly Fiction is still in the chat, he could probably tell us, which specific ones these elements have drawn from. But like fairies have traditionally been vulnerable to iron. Anyone who's read the Dresden Files knows that. Also, like actual mythology about fairies and things like that. And then music is a common one. So you saw this in, and I'm using like more modern fantasy things. I think that like everyone has seen these, like the dog in Harry Potter. Music put it to sleep, right? Like, so magical creatures are often vulnerable to relatively mundane human objects, and I think that's all we're supposed to get from this.
Oh, okay. So these Aelfin are okay. All right then. Okay, sure. So apparently they lead into this they lead into this like room with pillars, and there's these like three Aelfin. They're just kind of waiting there, and he has to bring up his three questions, and he brings up he's like, should I go home or should I help my people? And they're like, you got to go to Ruidian, and he's just like, well, why? Why do I have to go to Ruidian? And they're like, if you don't go to Ruidian, you're gonna freaking die. And he's like, well, why am I gonna die? And then at this point, like, apparently there's a rumbling, and they want him to get his shit done with, and he keeps asking more and more questions. So, even though they bring up the rules earlier that he can only ask 3 questions, and that he couldn't ask anything about like the shadow, the dark one, and I forget what was the other one. And you had to have conviction. You had to have conviction in your questions, or there'd be terrible consequences or something like that. So apparently, I believe he's following all the rules. Like he's very serious about this. It has nothing to do with the shadow, but yet at the same time they were saying, well, I forget how they put it. They said that if he sidesteps the threat of fate, he will be killed by those who do not wish his fate to be fulfilled. And then there's another bell sound. Apparently, the room trembles, and they're like, we want you to leave. And then they bring up, he's like, just like, what fate? What are you talking about? And then of course we get more foreshadowing here. We get he's going to marry the daughter of the 9 moons. He's going to die and live again and live once more, a part of what was. And then he's going to give up half the light of the world to save the world and all that. So, and then they call him son of battles, trickster, gambler, and everything. And then they carry him off. He's like asking more questions. They're like, okay, we're taking you out of here, bro.
Matt gets thrown out of the club.
Yes. And what's funny is when he gets thrown out, apparently Moraine exits at the same time, and so does Rand. So, yep. So he tries to go back. He tries to go back through the doorway, and the doorway won't let him enter, or won't let him re-enter.
And classic Moraine is like, I can't believe the 2 of you went in.
yeah, pretty much. And she's like,
I know what I'm doing. What are you guys?
She's like, what are you doing? Like, there's 2 Ta'Veren entering this at the same time. Like, what do you think's going to happen? And that's why the rumbling happened.
She has no idea what's going to happen either.
Yeah,
she don't
know.
No clue.
she's making conclusions that she knows nothing about. She knows 0 about any of that. So her making any accusation is just completely. She has no idea what the effect of them being in there is. It could just be like going in the next room. She has no idea.
And she's just like, how do you know about this? How do you know? And Rand's like, well, I read about this. And then Matt just, I don't think Matt says, I forget what Matt says. I don't think he says anything. He covers for Egwene. He doesn't say how he learned about it and all that. And
how about that? Covering for somebody again.
Yeah. So Rand apparently refuses to share what his questions and answers were. And but the thing is, unlike Matt, who they talked to him directly, Rand and I think both Rand and Moraine had translators when they were asking their questions, because apparently the Aelfin only speak the Old Tongue, and apparently Matt knows the Old Tongue, hence why he didn't have a translator. He's like, oh, that's weird. So but yeah, apparently, apparently, according to what Moraine says, the Aelfin feed on the visitor's sensations, emotions, in exchange for for answers, which is why they, I guess, why they agree to do what they do and all that. So, but I think that, I mean, that pretty much is, yeah. So they basically take their leave. Matt, I don't think Matt goes into why he what he asks or anything. Um, but yeah. So yeah, so Moraine Moraine just goes and leaves, fucks off, and then Matt basically asks Rand, like, whether the Emmons Field should be left at the White Cloak's mercy. And Rand's like, don't worry, I'm letting Perrin handle this. Perrin's going to handle this for me. And there's other things that must be done. So, and yeah.
One more
What?
thing worth noting is that Matt sort of verbally Heisman's Moraine's questions in order to protect Egwene as the source of information about this. So again, Matt literally protecting his friends, even from shit like that. Like,
Yep. Yeah.
And,
yeah, exactly. What a shitbag.
Yeah. Absolute fucking turd is all I'm saying. Like, bad friend. I mean, thief, obviously a thief.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, like you said earlier. So yeah, apparently, so Perrin is basically on his chessboard the way Rand is talking right now, and yeah. So yeah. So Matt's just like, shit. Writing? Why? He's just like, what? Like seriously, what the heck is going on here? So. But yeah, so any final thoughts on 15 on this particular chapter?
I absolutely love the Scooby-Doo shit that is Matt walking out, then Rand basically tripping on him, then Moraine walking out and tripping on him, like all simultaneously, like it's a gag or something. Like, I don't know why that cracks me up.
Slapstick. Gotta love it. I love that shit.
I agree with that.
Let me see if there's. I don't think there's any. Don't think there's anything else. No, nothing else. So
the Aelfin are creepy with their whole like the savor. Oh, the save. Like it kind of reminds me a little bit of Mashin Shin's like blood so sweet. Like just creepy. Like, to be honest, I'm glad that the show did not even try, and hopefully doesn't try to do the Finn. Like, can you imagine Mean Girls Aelfin?
Oh, they'll mess it up on the like. Please, just don't do it.
It would be so terrible. I mean, they would look like Loyal's wig and talk like Mashin Shin freaking Mean Girls, and it would be awful, so awful. And the inside of the inside of their little like compound sort of thing that you start to see here would probably be like cubicles from Office Space, because the budget has been cut so much by season 3 that Amazon is just like, yeah, we just kicked the interns out. You guys can film down here.
From 5 to 8 on Wednesday. Like, then the more productive team has to come back.
Well, wait, we saw that what wasn't that Instagram or photo of Rosamund Pike at the coffee shop or whatever? Did you see that? Oh, we're done. We're wrapped shooting. We can go to the other basement location where we got to save the money for our vacations and our lattes.
I in general attempt to avoid all of the social medias of anyone.
Yeah, I do too, but they get thrown at me, and it's just like I click it, and it's just like, ugh, that was a mistake.
I feel like I regret all of this.
Yeah, exactly, instantly.
All right, so Ray, we're halfway done. We're halfway done with this. So next chapter is called Leaf Takings. I call this a tale of bickerings, because that's basically what this chapter is, if I remember correctly. So apparently Perrin and Fael are still having their little thing, and then this time they bring Loyal into their bickering, And basically Fael's like, Loyal, you swore an oath to me or something to, protect me or take me with you in this event. And Perrin's just like, I'm trying to remember what else happened.
So we
This wasn't one of my favorite chapters, I'll say that.
We get some really good Nynaeve Lan comedy here.
that part, yeah, I remember.
That's one of my favorites. We get Fael trying to make Loyal happy by like, oh, Loyal, such a heroic Ogier. We find out that
Fael being a conniving bitch starts here. Yep.
We find out that Loyal is in trouble with the law for dipping out of.
Loyal protected kids. I forgot. Loyal protected kids during the attack.
Yep.
During the stone stand. So okay.
Yep.
Heck yeah, man. Saved many children from the shadow spawn. Perrin realizes Fael is trying to butter Loyal, so that Loyal will insist that Perrin allow her to go with him. Yeah, obviously.
There's one other thing that needs to be mentioned. Elaine gave Rand a letter.
I forgot about the letters. Oh my god.
Basically the source of, like, again, we talked about days that Rand should have bought lotto scratchers and days he should not buy lotto scratchers. This one, day he should not. Like, Rand's mental sort of stability and like personal anguish is, mental stability is down and anguish is up due to these freaking letters.
Oh yeah, I forget when exactly she got when they talk about the letters.
Yeah, I feel like so it's like off camera, right? She's like talking to the girls about, like, I gave him these letters, or I gave him one letter, and then she gives him another one later, right? So
yeah. So she writes Rand a letter saying, "I love you so much," blah 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 blah.
But I'm leaving.
Then she writes, and then I think she's like, I'm going to write another letter, chastising him instead of the previous letter that expresses her love for him.
This is literally the meme of Mr. Bean looking over at the test of the guy next to him. So Elaine saw Nynaeve be firm with Lan and goes, "Oh, I need to be firm with Rand." So she writes him another letter that's contradictory to the first one. It is.
Yeah. Following Nynaeve for relationship advice, also not a great plan.
So yeah, the whole thing lands like, you're going to freaking Tanchico. Tanchico is bad. You can't just go. You can't just go unprotected. And she's like, who are you? Who are you to tell me this? And then he just picks her up and they just start kissing.
Oh yeah.
I was just like, oh Jesus Christ. I forgot. I don't even remember what led to that. That's all I remember from that.
Lan put the moves on her.
Yeah, he put the moves on, and he leave, and that's it. Is that pretty much all he does?
Yep.
Yeah. And so apparently Gaul's going to be going with Perrin. So the Aiel are not going to be going with. So all he's got is Gaul. So Gaul's going to be.
That's all he needs. All he needs is Gaul.
Because I think Gaul still owes him for saving him in Dragon Reborn, if I remember correctly. Oh wait, who's Gaul again? I forget.
Yeah, what's a Gaul?
Yeah, what's a Gaul?
I really would have loved the Perrin, Loyal, and Gaul rock out. Like, that would have been an outstanding boys trip that just gets ruined by Fael, Bane, and Shiad.
Yep.
Oh, I forget. Lan is like saying. I forgot. Lan actually says here that he is willing to go with Nynaeve or something. And Nynaeve's like, no, you got to stay with Moiraine. Like, you have to cut. I will not be party to you separating yourself from Moiraine. It has to be. I have to have nothing to do with it.
Speaking of bad decisions that ended badly for everybody involved.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think you got chapter 16 nailed down.
Okay, so yeah, this probably might be my least favorite in this block. So let's go on to 17. What we got?
Bad
Come on.
decisions.
All right.
Fucking
Deceptions.
Maryland.
Deceptions. This was awesome. This chapter was awesome. I'm like, I want more Tom Maryland in my read. Like, I just
Tom's dead. Oh, sorry.
yeah. Seriously, Steve, stop being a buzzkill. Stop bringing
All
up the show.
I will. My bad.
All right. So okay. So yeah. All right. So apparently so yeah, this whole Tom thing, I love this first part. This chapter was insane. Like, it's not just this chapter. This chapter ends very Martin-esque. I'm just gonna say, because of let's just say a character gets offed at the end of this. So, but apparently, I liked. This Tom chapter was actually this first part was actually really cool. Especially, he's basically going around spreading rumors about the High Lords and all that, and basically trying to help, Rand, basically, strengthening. He's basically trying to help Rand get the support of the common people. And apparently, he goes back. He's spreading rumors to like the help to the the staff, and he goes back and he finds Moraine going through his shit. And he's just like, I hope she didn't find my my case that my letters and all that. So, and of course, he feels like with her around, he feels a tingle. So I'm curious. I'm curious where that's going to go. So I don't know. Can Tom Maryland love an Aes Sedai?
Tom Maryland can love whoever he wants. Tom
Yeah.
Maryland.
Yeah. So apparently, they're talking a little bit about the politicking around here. So they talk about the High Lord Carlian being, accidentally, shot by a certain Lord Tadosian, and then we learn about Altama. The Altama segment of chapter 21 made me laugh. Like, that was just, let's just say Rand has an unexpected surprise for High Lady Altama, who is tending her sick husband.
So we get a little bit of the Robert Jordan with women bit here, and he correctly identifies something, I think, in that women are a little bit like banks, in that the best way to have a high credit score with a bank is to already have like a bunch of debt. The best way to attract women is to like have other women who back you. And like, this is one instance where she goes, oh, Moraine goes, oh, you were signed off on by Morgaze, so I know you're good. And that's like, you see that play out like 5 times in this section of chapters. It always surprises me, I guess.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. So apparently, so let me see where else is. So yeah, we go a little bit into Eye of the World territory here. We talk about his history with, like you said, Morgaze, and he knows how to play the game of houses. And I forget, who's Tarangale. She hints that he may be responsible for Tarangale.
Tarangale is Morgaze's first husband. Tarangale Damodred, also Maraine's cousin, right? Not brother. I don't think brother. It's either brother or cousin. I'm kind of leaning towards cousin.
Half brother.
Half brother. Okay.
Moraine's half brother. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So basically a brother cousin. I feel vindicated.
Tom Drill Maryland, also known as the Gray Fox. Yeah. Yeah, and just like he's just like, oh, I'm not. I'm just a simple gleeman. I don't participate. I don't partake in these schemes. I don't know what you mean. And I just like how they're just like, you know, uh, they're just sizing each other up with their knowledge of shit and everything. So he's like, oh, I know who you are. You're related to, you know, House. You're part of House Damodred and all that, and you're the niece of King Layman and all that. If I remember, King Layman is the one that gets killed by the Aiel during the Aiel War. Like the Aiel, like they cut down the tree.
Yep.
And
Layman's sin.
Aiel,
Yep.
Huh?
Lemon's the worst.
yeah.
Yep.
So and then she's just like, well, she's just like, haha, I know about your nephew and what happened to him. And I can identify the Red Aja responsible for that. And that just gets him. That pulls out the rug from under him. That just gets him triggered. Like that was just like, whoa, shit. And yeah, and he's like, you know, he's like, why are you? He's like, he gets to the point where he gets emotional. He's like, well, why the hell are you here? And he's like, I need you to go and accompany Elaine, Merguez's daughter, to Tanchico, because only with your knowledge and skills, you can keep her and Nynaeve alive. So once again, you know, first it was Lan, now it's you know, Moraine saying here, Tanchico is a bad place. Oh, and Amos earlier too. So is Tanchico really that bad? Is it that bad?
It's not great.
It's not great.
Do you ever get the impression that this is like they're making teams for dodgeball, and nobody is happy with the team they ended up on? Like, I mean,
if you can dodge traffic.
Yeah, like Lan wants to be on Team Tanchico, Tom wants to be on Team Ruidian, Matt wants to be on Team Two Rivers, Perrin wants to be anywhere where Fail is not. It's just, you know, everybody wants to be somewhere different than where they end up going, and it makes me laugh.
Rand is on Team Ruidian.
Yeah. That's true. Rand is the only one. Rand is the captain of the team.
This is which is interesting because again, the whole idea that like Taviran are, you know, characters on rails. Rand starts being like much less happy about his picked team. You know.
Yes.
Everything is going fine like right now.
Yeah. So anything else? Any other comments about this portion of the chapter with Tom? Like just I thought this was great. Like listening to the audiobook was great. Hearing Michael Kramer as Tom was just I thought this was a great performance right here.
Yeah, this is some heavy flirting. Like they're just verbal fucking right here.
Yeah.
I'd also say that I think it's important that like every character has something that they kind of like bring to the team, you know? And I think that that's one of the things that is good about the story that is starting to kind of unfold here, right? That like it's a very large cast of characters and it gets larger, but like each character actually has a pretty distinct, you know, not just personality, history, things like that, but like a pretty distinct set of skills, and like they are useful in a way that other characters couldn't be. And so you start to see like the pattern really in the pairing of these characters to the events that are going on. So when you think of Sanderson's explanation of like, you know, how Taviran works, right? It's not just that like Rand and Perrin and Matt are in the right spot. Like the other people, so people who are not Taviran are still being moved to accomplish objectives that need to be accomplished. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. All right, let's go. Let's keep these rails. Let's keep this train moving. So, So now we're on Min. So Min right here is still in the tower. So we're following up from chapter 1. And so apparently, if I remember correctly, she's working in the kitchens. And then she is working on some embroidery when she runs, or Gawain and Galan run into her. They talk to her, or they visit her. I don't remember exactly which. And we find out that we find out a little bit about the White Cloaks, about this one book that Gawain apparently is very because they're White Cloaks, he automatically has disdain for it. Whereas Galan, on the other hand, says this forget what his name, Lothair Mantelar, the Way of the Light, is actually a great man. So Galan was able to differentiate, the bad actions of some players right now versus what the founder of the White Cloaks represents. So obviously there's
no, sorry, continue.
So it just shows like Gawain reminds me of one of those little jack-offs right now that like, oh, you're a bad person, so they must have been bad in history too and all that. Whereas Galan was able to differentiate was able to differentiate bad behavior now versus back then.
Well, I don't think
if I'm making any sense.
I don't think you could have made me dislike Gawain anymore, but man, making him also an edgy atheist is,
An edgy what?
Like
I was gonna go a similar direction. Yeah, I think if any Gawain stan still exists in the world, remembering that he's a freaking illiterate shit poster on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry, I don't read books. If it was good, they'd make it into a movie.
Yeah.
But it just seemed, Gawain was really quick to judge and, and just, I have some concerns about this character. He's just, I have bad vibes with him. So I have a feeling he's going to be doing some bad shit coming up. So, but yeah, so apparently there's Loghain makes an appearance again, another appearance, and Min sees something. She has a new view, and she sees something radiant above his head, gold and blue, and it's like a halo, and the halo is like I'm not sure what it's supposed to like. It's supposed to be like a glorious type of thing for Loghain or something. And she uses that as an excuse to take her leave of Gawain and Galad. And Gawain's like, you will tell us if you know anything, right? Right? And she's like, of course. So she uses that Loghain thing as an excuse to run to the Amerlin seat. Kind of barges in. They turn their heads to the thing, like, what are you doing here and all that. So. And she's just like, I have this thing from Loghain, and they're like, why'd you come here for that? Why are you wasting our time with that? That could have waited. And she's like, I don't want to fucking stay here. I want to go back to Rand. I want to leave. I don't want to be here. I'm not able to find anything about the Black Hodja, so let me fucking go already. And then they're like, if I remember correctly, they're like, no, I guess there's still shit to do or something. And then apparently, so she's inside there. She's not supposed to be in there. And someone knocks on the door and says, I forget what was said. I think an accepted, not accepted. A novice shows up or something and leaves some news. I forget what it was. Let me look.
We get Sawan's newspaper readings.
Oh yeah, so she gets a couple of letters. Yeah, so she gets the stuff about Tyr, about Rand proclaiming to be the Dragon Reborn, and then we find out that was it Mazrim Time escapes. So another false dragon escapes the custody of the Aes Sedai, and let's just say they want to send her and like a couple hundred sisters to deal with this. And I'm thinking, because there's apparently going to be an attack or something that that was hinted at in chapter 1 in Min's viewing, that some Aes Sedai are going to die or something. I'm curious if this is the case that sets this in motion and all that. So,
sort of. But you do get a Steve mention in this chapter.
yeah, they mention Massima,
Yep.
Masema, whatever. Yeah, because they bring up like all the different plot points that I think are going to be in future books, like the whole, so Prophet of the Dragon and Galdon and Civil War or was it Famine or Civil War in Kyrian, and I'm trying to remember what else. Attacks in the Borderlands. Apparently, the Borderlands. Apparently, the blight shrunk a little bit. We learned that the blight shrunk like a couple miles or something. So hey, there's some good news at least. And I think that's it. I think that's pretty much it. So, I think that's it. Leanne. They the other message from Moraine. It says that Rand has calendar. Okay, so I already brought that up. And they gotta convene because of the fact that the Dragon Reborn has been proclaimed. They're gonna convene the hall, the tower, and they're gonna have an announcement. So, and then it cuts to the next one. So I think this announcement is not going to go well. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen.
Read and find out.
And I think a certain character is going to do stuff and maybe seize control. I think I'm not sure. So I'm curious. So, but we're not even at the end of the chapter yet. So there's one more point of view. Sarah Covenry. If I remember correctly, Sarah, is she the one in the very beginning of the book that brings Min to the tower to the Amerland or something? So apparently that was the last time we saw her. So now she's working on a farm somewhere in Tarvalon, and she's like, I don't know why I'm here, what's going on. She's working, and then all of a sudden she gets attacked. She gets questioned and attacked by an Aes Sedai. We don't know who the Aes Sedai is. I don't think there's any description of her. She just like, tell us about Min, tell us about Ilman Dreda and everything. And she's like, I don't know anything, but she talked to Gawain. And then she dies. And I thought that was a pretty chilling end to a very long chapter right here. So, how did they put it? She did not stop screaming for a long time, and when the Aes Sedai left, there was not a sound around the farmhouse, except for the chickens, not even breathing. Doesn't that give you chills? I thought that was a great way to say that. I wasn't even sure, honestly. I wasn't even sure myself initially until I read it again. I was like, okay, yeah, she's dead. Yeah, she's dead. So, any comments on chapter 17 before we move on?
All I have to say is I hope if I die suddenly, like in my yard, through suspicious means, that my chickens survive like that.
I think the Tom stuff was the best part of this chapter. I was wishing there was more Tom.
Oh, bring it, Tom.
The Tom part is the best part of every chapter that there's Tom stuff.
Like there's one thing I don't know how I don't. This one issue. There's only one issue. There's one thing I wanted from the Great Hunt, and I understand why it wasn't in it, because it's not part of the story. But I wanted to see after that Tom takes out those assassins that killed the girl and all that. I wanted to see him go and kill
Totally disagree. I think it is way better that we have no idea how Tom Maryland with his fucking gimp leg just went and John Wicked the royal court. That is so much more terrifying.
I still wanted to read. I still wanted to read and experience it. That was something I wanted to. That's something I did want to see in the book. So I was a little disappointed. So, but yeah,
I think that there's no way to really write that in a way that like would have delivered on like how badass it is in your imagination. Like the only way that he would have had to like sneak in and like, I don't know, poison someone or like just like stab him and sneak out a window or whatever without having seen that. Like Yanan is saying, some things are better left up to the imagination. I can preserve my headcanon where he, like I said, just John Wicked the freaking royal palace and just killed, just he came in blasted, you know?
Oh yeah, he was Hela from Thor Ragnarok. He just walked in throwing knives to everybody and
yes.
just casually walked out of the palace like with just a pile of bodies laid out behind him. I'm 100% on your team here.
I like to think that if Tom Maryland ever comes back to Kyrian, like people, some Kyrian and nobles are just going to start straight shitting their pants.
I forget. I don't even remember if I brought this up. I don't know if I remember I brought this up during the Great Hunt stream, talking about this, especially with that one chapter. I don't know. But yeah, so I like just it just makes me want more Tom. I want more Tom in my read. So that's my main takeaway from this chapter.
And I don't want to spoil this for you, but I wonder if anything that happened there like had to do with like Kim kind of remembering things from his other like time with certain people, certain mothers.
I get you. Yeah, I could see that.
Maybe I had a few bones to pick because remember the whole thing with that was involved Carrions. So I don't want to say too much though.
Okay. So now we're on chapter 18. So this is the chapter where Perrin leaves the stone. All that. So apparently, so Perrin is basically, you know, he doesn't want Moraine to find out that he's leaving. And of course, freaking Fael is telling everyone. She's telling Tom Maryland because she wants a song to be sung about Perrin and all that. And it just is like, seriously. And this, I think they maintain their.
Have I told you guys my one qualm with a thing that Robert Jordan did? Which like I love Robert Jordan's works and books and writing, obviously, all that stuff. One like legitimate thing where like I would actually make a change to the books if it were up to me would be that Perrin never tells Fael that the horse is named Mandarb and just continues to call her Mandarb for the entire series and just laughs and she's like, why are you laughing? And he's just like does the classic like cover his mouth like, oh, nothing, like I was thinking of something else, like sorry I just
he went for one big punchline at the time rather than letting it play out like a bunch of little jokes.
Which is just that's like Matt's lane, you know. Perrin really should have played the long game.
Agreed.
So apparently they stay separated. So him and Fael stay separated. This time they kind of ride off. I forget. I think that they ride off ahead or something. And we find out Fael has brought a couple of companions too, Bane and Chiad. And Bane and Chiad apparently want to do something to Perrin because of how he's treating her and all that. So, and I like how Gaul is trying to warn him. He's like, I don't give a shit. I don't care. And and he's just like, and he's like, Gaul, if anything happens to me, you got to take Fael to safety and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll definitely do that.
He's like, yeah, sure.
And yeah, so it's just that we find out that, so apparently the Aiel can run. So they don't like to ride horses. So Bane and Chiad and Gaul like run after them.
That's what he appreciates about them.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they ride off, and then of course there's there's a water oath or something. Yeah, Gaul cannot fight the maidens or something, or they can't fight the maidens because of a water oath or something, and only if they start the fight or something can they even fight at all or something. So we have they go and they get to the they get to the Waygate, and Loyal's there. I think I forget who opens it. I think he opens the Waygate, and I think that's pretty much it. They open the Waygate and they go in.
And thus ends the last interesting thing that happens in this section of chapters.
Yeah, pretty much. So, any comments? Any comments about this chapter? Doesn't seem like there's much. Doesn't seem like there's much there.
Being in Chiat are annoying. Other than that,
Yeah. Gaul is clearly superior in every way. R.I.P.
Rick King.
Gaul's like your ride or die.
Oh yeah,
you know it's a rough chapter when the summary on the wiki is only 2 paragraphs. Like,
yeah, exactly, exactly. So apparently, yeah. And I thought the other thing that I did notice is that Gaul's like, "What's a bridge? Is there water in here?" No, that's not what a bridge is. That's not what we mean. So Fail's upset with him. Yeah, we get it. All right, moving on. All right, so next 2 chapters, and this was a long one for me. The Wave Dancer. So we're now, yes. So we got 2 chapters.
I'm gonna go out the start here and say I disagree with the face things there. I think that this was actually decent world building and some good stuff for this part of the series. It wasn't super exciting, but like at this point in the series, I thought that it was some good fleshing out the world, telling some interesting stuff.
Yeah, this is like before it becomes a total problem with these people.
Yeah, it's
agree.
interesting and new. It's not tedious and a chore.
And also, this is the part of the series where a large part of the first couple books, and I think up to this point, like the Wheel of Time as a series is a little bit of a travelogue, right?
Yeah.
And like this fits in with that. There's some more travelogue sections with these characters later that I have much larger problems with.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not saying it's one of the circus arcs, but man, this section drags.
Nerporio is like circus arcs. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
We didn't see Young Bull.
So apparently, so we finally meet the Sea Folk. I think they were only referenced a little bit in the previous books, and they were very mum about what was going on. Like they didn't say anything about the Shan Chan or anything like that. So they rarely we didn't know much about them prior to this, and apparently they do not allow Aes Sedai on board. They generally deny Aes Sedai passage on their ships and everything, because apparently the what do they call her, so you have the sail mistress, and then you have the was it the Windfinder? So is that what the other is? That
Windfinder.
The Windfinder is the one that is that can channel.
Yeah,
Yep.
And they have some trade secrets, and we don't want the Aes Sedai to find out.
Well, yeah. Apparently they have glasses, so they have eyeglasses, and they have instead of using a tiller, they have a wheel that helps control the rudder and all that. So ooh, yeah. I guess from an earlier, more civilized era. Okay, that was a bad Star Wars thing. So
yeah, no, we know.
So apparently they have their own. So apparently the sea folk, I forgot what the fuck they're called. The Athan.
Athon Mir.
Athon Mir, have this prophecy called the Jedi prophecy. So they have their own version of the dragon prophecy, and so that's why they allow them to go on. They allow them passage to Tanchico. They're willing to, because they originally were going to go all the way east. So I'm assuming that this city that they call Shara is way east of is east even of the Aiel Waste. Am I correct?
Shara is like,
and nobody knows anything about Shara because I think it's completely walled up. Nobody knows anything.
Yep.
Kind of reminds me of Karth in Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire. Completely walled up. Nobody knows what's inside, comings and goings, and if anybody does, they disappear.
I think it's more that it's just way the fuck far away.
Yeah.
I don't think it's walled up. It's just over the dragon wall, right? I mean, it's just hard to get to.
So the dragon wall is the mountain range to the Aiel Waste. There is another mountain range between the Aiel Waste and Shara. Where we get the idea that it's walled up is that the trading cities are walled, right? So there's like one port and like 2 trading cities that the Aiel are allowed to use.
Yeah.
That are walled cities. No one's allowed out. And I think that the general impression is that the Sharans treat everybody the way that the Aiel treat Kyrianan. Like if you wander around in Shara and you're not Sharan, like
yeah, it's like
you're gonna get killed.
Japan, like until like because it was closed, they wouldn't let anyone on the island and stuff, and they would kill people and stuff too. So
and apparently
it's the East, so
And apparently, only the sea folk have made any dealings with the Shards, like nobody else.
The Aiel do.
The Aiel, okay, and of course nobody knows because the Aiel are pretty isolationist themselves. They don't really deal with other people either, except for
also the Aiel are probably like the one neighbor that the Sharans could have like kept this up with, where like the Sharans were probably like, hey, we'll trade with you as long as you never go skulking around in our countries and only come to these designated places and don't go outside the walls. And the Aiel would be like, yeah, we agree to your terms. And then for like 1,000 years, no one ever breaks those terms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then it was like also like didn't the Tinkers have like kind of trade routes through there? Like they go for the Aiel too, but they kind of went to Shara. Or did they? I don't remember. Because the Aiel kept people out of the waste too.
Yeah, that's true. Only people I think that were allowed to pass were the Tuathan, right? They were able to. No one else was allowed in there. So apparently, we meet. What's her name? We meet Coin. We meet Coin, the sail mistress, and then we meet Joran the Windfinder. And they basically have. I think Moraine sends them, and she gives them like a credit or something that allows them to take as much money out of an account, if I remember correctly.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
it was a letter of credit or something.
Yeah. So, I'm trying to let's see.
There's a Wheel of Time Medici sort of playing out there somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, so they bring up the Sean Chan. So apparently they have a Sean Chan helmet on display, and they're like, "How did you come by this?" And they're like, "Well, we were lucky. We set the ship on fire, and we left before they could do anything about it." And they used that as an excuse to kill all the Sean Chan on board, and that's why they have the helmet and all that. So. I'm trying to remember, but yeah. So apparently, we already talked about that. The Windfinder can channel, and we find out what's his name comes back. I'm trying to remember his name. The one dude. the one dude that was the one that was looks for thieves and
Oh,
Tyr.
thief catcher, like
Thief catcher. Julian Sandar.
Sandar, yep.
So he gets sent because Land Land threatens him. He's like, "You're going with." Land threatens him and physically coerces him into going. And then we see him, and then we see Tom Maryland, and
like,
and
hey, what's up?
Yeah, these two are your predominant Tard wranglers for making sure Elaine, Nynaeve, and don't fucking break everything and get murdered. This is the worst job in the entire series.
So I'm trying to understand. So Elaine has this little confusion right here. I forgot to bring up. So apparently
She has
it's
a lot
the
of
wind.
confusion. You're gonna have to be more specific.
Yeah. So I'm
It's
getting to it.
like,
The Windfinder.
this guy looks familiar.
The Windfinder makes the decision to let them on board, and not the sales mistress or the sale mistress. So I forget exactly why that is.
I think it was because of the prophecies and stuff. Like, they're like, we're not going to let Aes Sedai on our ships because they would obviously figure out how to do the stuff with the wind. But, like, they talk about the prophecies.
Yeah, so
like
that's
Jedi prophecy and stuff.
so the sail mistress lets them on the boat. You know, they used to have a rule, no Aes Sedai, but the sail mistress lets them on the boat under the the sail mistress then chalks it up to the wind finder because they say the prophecy is no longer a thing, but we will give you we will let you make the decision because you're going to be the one that the Aes Sedai are seeing channel, which is going to cause the problems.
So is this like a dual like command situation here where they both have?
No.
So
No.
the sales
No.
mistress is still the.
Okay, so the reason this all is happening is because the sea folk don't want the Aes Sedai to realize that they know how to channel.
Yeah.
So they had a rule in place for a long time. We don't transport Aes Sedai because if we transport Aes Sedai, the Aes Sedai will see us channeling, which will cause problems. So in order to, but they changed the rule. They said the Coromor is here, so we're changing what we're going to do. But the sail mistress said, okay, Windfinder, if we let them on board, they're going to see you channel. So it's kind of your ass on the line. So I'll let you make the decision. Do you want to let them on board or not?
Oh, okay.
Yep.
It just because like once again everybody's very distrustful of Aes Sedai. That's it's obviously a thing ever since early the first book and everything. And it was I mean I was even thinking of how Huron is a sniffer and all that, and that how like they wanted to keep that a secret from the Aes Sedai. And what's funny with Varen said that they already knew about that, but yeah. Once again, they don't want the Aes Sedai to know.
Varen would say that.
She would say that, yeah, true. So
she would.
So yeah, that's just what that's what I was thinking when I was reading this. So, but yeah, it seems like once again this is 2 chapters that I think could have been one really large chapter. But what can I say? Oh yeah, by the way, the husband's the cargo master. So.
Yeah,
so the sail mistress's husband.
What these guys are.
He's the cargo master. I forget what they were talking about.
I'll make it up to you later somehow if you let these women.
Oh yeah, he was like why are we doing this? Like we have trade to do in Shara and all that. He's like you're skipping out on this, and she's like sorry husband, we gotta do this instead.
So. Just because it's not super plot relevant, and I don't think really gets brought up again, but is mentioned, like you pick it up by context. It's not a thing where every sail mistress is married to her cargo master. I don't know if that's something that RJ changed his model on or whatever, but like they don't always get stationed on the same ship, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
All right, so but yeah, that's pretty much chapter 19, Wave Dancer. We got 2 more chapters left. You guys gotta bear with me. Let's get this. Let's get this one. So apparently, this is also more Elaine. I'm like, why make another? Why have another Elaine chapter? Why not just have this entire thing be a single chapter? So I was expecting Nynaeve to be the next point of view, but we don't get it. So
Well, Nynaeve was seasick the entire time.
true, that's true. I forgot about
That would have been.
that.
I mean, granted, that would have been a shorter chapter, and
Yeah.
Steve and Alex would have been fine if it was just like next chapter, and it's just like, and then chapter 20.
Yeah, so we already brought up Julian
Yeah,
and
probably.
Tom. So Julian and Tom make their appearance here, and I already brought up how Lan physically coerces Julian in order to come with them. And then of course Moraine did the same thing to him. And this is when we see them leave, and then of course we see they go through the fingers of the dragons, and they get to the Sea of Storms. And I forget, like they apparently the wind. Forget what was her title again?
Windfinder.
Windfinder. So she can like stop storms briefly with her channeling.
Yeah, so they can channel, and it that's how they sail around the continent. Is they have a person who can channel, who's responsible for making guide winds and keeping the ship from being destroyed.
Okay, that makes sense.
Which just little side note over here. I think one of the few times, and this is maybe subconsciously, this is why people hate the sea folk so much. I'll give this. This is the gut feeling you guys get that makes you dislike the sea folk. Using the one power to create a storm to give you favorable winds only works if all of the ships are going in the same direction. If sea folk vessels were going from Tyr to Ilion and also from Ilion to Tyr on the same day, that shit doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
I think it's more. I hate
them because
no. I think you guys are really
they
not
suck.
liking the
Pips or
sidestep. That's really what it's about.
We're not all naval and nautical minded.
They can just be freaking airbenders and blow into the sail and sail whichever direction they want. I don't care. They're annoying. They suck. Their politics is stupid. That's why I don't like them.
You're just a big old dummy head.
That's it. Exactly. So dummy dumbersons.
The part later on where they keep sending Rand like missives, like I need to talk to you, like Cormor, hey, I need to talk to you, and Rand keeps ignoring them.
What are you doing over there? You spoiling spoiler over there?
Oh, fine.
Oh, wait, how Rand just ignores them because he doesn't need them for anything except for taxi? Exactly, yeah. Like, yeah, you guys are useless, except you have boats, so... Yeah.
And no hose.
Yeah.
And not even useful for traveling, because you're like, yeah, no, if I want to move people, I just make a gateway.
You guys are just spoiling ass spoilers over here. What the hell are you
Sounds like
doing?
an important group to get into the show. I gotta tell you that. Oh, sorry, my bad.
Fired up. Let's finish
I don't think there's anything left to talk about. Like there's a nice little Tom and Elaine. So Tom and Elaine have this little wholesome little exchange.
Yeah,
she just wants.
Yeah,
So apparently, when she was a baby, she liked to pull on Tom's mustaches, and she's like,
Wiener.
For some reason, I just want to tug on his mustaches and all that. And they talk about talking about. Okay, they talk about. Let's see. They talk about how like history is exaggerated and all that. That Arthur Hawkwing could not have possibly fought 100 duels in one day, as the stories say, and blah blah blah.
Dude, the Tom Elaine stuff gets weird as fuck, man. Just get ready for it.
It's super uncomfortable.
It's so
let
weird.
him get to this in his own time. We all want
Ugh.
to hear him react naturally and organically.
It's so weird. Okay, yeah, you'll know it when you get there. It is so weird and uncomfortable. Ugh.
Okay, all right. Keep that in mind. And
Especially
apparently,
after sending Rand a bunch of letters saying how much she wants to do them.
At this point, you might as well just tell him what happens.
No, don't even
That was
think
just
about it.
enough subtle hinting. All right, I just subtle hinting, and
Yeah, you're giving him like the
Just
the
remember-
the burp you get before you actually throw up, where you can
No,
you can kind of see, you can like taste what.
Hold on,
There's actually nothing.
I'm gonna lay down a false trail here, okay? Just remember, Tom had access to Elaine's room when she was young. Okay, there you go.
Oh boy. Okay, I don't think there's. I don't think there's any. I don't think there's anything left to discuss. We covered basically everything. All the Sean Chan stuff was brought up. I already brought that stuff up, and the channeling and all that. So let's just go to the awesome. Let's go to the awesome chapter 21, the final chapter of this block of chapters.
Now back to the good part.
Perfect. Now that we've gotten through the trash.
Into the heart. There is a surprise awaiting anyone who tries to channel Kalendor out of the stone. Moraine, do not think of taking it to the tower for safekeeping. I could not make the trap, pick and choose. And you know what? I'll be honest. I thought this chapter was awesome. That's why I chose the first and last line of the prophecy as part of the thumbnail. Into the heart he thrusts his sword, into the heart to hold their hearts. Who draws it out shall follow after. What hand can grasp that fearful blade? So, yeah, he calls everyone to an assembly, all the high lords and all the high ladies and all that. And what does he do? He learns the first unwritten rule of being a king: keep everybody waiting. Keep everybody waiting. So, but yeah, this is a Moraine chapter. This is not a Rand chapter, but this is a Moraine chapter.
Yep.
And let's see the key points of this. So, oh, by the way, I forgot to bring up. Apparently, when they get on board the wave dancer, Elaine and Nynaeve, they feel something happen from the stone.
Yep.
And I forget what was it? I forgot what Elaine's reaction to that was. Was she like, Rand, what are you doing? I'm going to scold you, or she's like, what happened? Is he okay? I forget exactly how she reacted to that. But apparently, what happened in that chapter happens here. So kind of nice little going back in time. It's like a flash forward type of deal, and then we get to see what actually that was and all that. So the come on, phone, stop all these fucking ads.
So basically, everybody's waiting around for him, including Moraine and Egwene. And, Moraine and Egwene have a talk, and they kind of get miffed at each other when Moraine says, Egwene, keep close to Rand. He might need you, which annoys strong female character. And then basically Rand walks in and starts, laying down the law. And he basically says, no, we're not preparing for an attack from the Ilianers. We're sending the Tyrian army north to Cairhien. And he basically does some Deus Damar here, and he cuts off a bunch of plots to give him a bunch of grief.
Yeah, the best one is Lady Altama.
Yep.
He literally says, because she's taking care of her sick husband, her ailing husband, and all that, giving him his food and all that. She's obviously slowly poisoning him, and her character. I wouldn't be surprised if I wouldn't be surprised if this character was based off the character Livia from I, Claudius, who was in that show. It was Brian Blessed playing Augustus, Caesar Augustus, his wife. Because what did she do in the very first episode of that show? She basically once Augustus's first wife's kids were sick, she's like, "Oh, I'll take care of them," and then they just died. They just died. And her son Tiberius became the next emperor. But hey, that's it's neither here nor there. But that's what I was thinking when I was reading this. So, but yeah, so Rand takes him away. She's like, okay, so she takes the husband away from Altama. Altama's going to go and it's going to feed the people of Kyrian because we're basically we're humanitarians now. And I liked how everybody reacted. Like, oh, there's so many plots going on. There's so many factions. Everyone's being betrayed every day and everything. It's a messy business. He's like, well, I am the law now. You got to do what I say. So we find out. So basically, he transfers her Lady Altama's husband because she can't take care of him. They can't bring him because he's sick. They can't move him like that. So they transfer him to the care of Lady Estanda. And apparently, because of that, she faints in front of everybody. I loved how he put it. Like I was like, what exactly happened? So I forget. How did they? Where is it? Where's in the book right here?
Yeah, I remember realizing that when I was first reading it, I was like, "Oh dang."
Oh, let's take a. Let me find this. Oh well, but that's one thing of many that happens, and he's one. And I like how Moraine's like thinking, where is he getting all this from? Is he getting this from Lanfear? It must be Lanfear. Where is he? Why is he making these decisions and all that? I mean, I figure it was from the doorways, from his questions in the doorways, and that's why he's going forward with these things right here. I don't know.
Yeah, she's underestimating Tom.
Yeah, and of course we once again hear the Lord Sunaman, the one that Rand is threatened to if he doesn't make peace or make some sort of treaty with Mayene, that he's going to hang. He agreed to be hung if he didn't. I like how you put it. He agreed to be hung if he didn't do this, and I like how everybody just like laughs. Everybody laughs when he's just like. Well, he tries to make a joke, and then when he talks about hanging the person, then everybody shuts the fuck up.
Well, partly because the punishment for hanging, right, is that's how poor people get executed, right? So that's one of the things that Rand consistently does is he comes in and he sort of flattens the social order where it's like, there's me, I'm the dragon, and then there's all of you, aka not the fucking dragon.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like if you thought you were Big D, here we go.
I love when Rand does this. It's nice to watch him kind of do his thing.
Yeah, and he basically, so he's like, okay, we're going to go to Kyrian, and he's like, yeah, like, so a whole bunch of people are going to be leading. So I like how everybody, so he's like, we're going to war, or we're going to be marching, and everybody assumed that they were going to go to Ilion, and so you had random people saying, was it how do you put it? Or was it something to Ilion? It wasn't death to Ilion, but like. What is it?
Yeah, they just thought they were going to go there and keep fighting the war. And
they were going to go to war. They were going to, because he even talks about them about like, yeah, you want to go to Kyrian, you want to go all the way to Kinslayer's dagger, you want to all that stuff, and he's like, nah.
Yep.
Yeah. So like they're like, oh yeah. I know I'm repeating myself here, but yeah, he's like, High Lord Mylan will command. Under him, the High Lords Gwayan, Ericombe, Hearn, Maricon, Simon. The armies will generally be financed by the High Lord Torian, the wealthiest of you. And then and he's like, who will accompany the armies to see that his money is spent wisely. And then it's just like, my Lord Dragon, intervening civil wars, stepping into a bog. A dozen factions contend for the Sun Throne with as many shifting alliances, each one betrayed every day. Besides that, bandits infest Kyrian as fleas on a wild boar. Starving peasants have stripped the land bare. I am reliably informed that they eat bark and leaves. And he's like, you don't want to extend Tyr's sway all the way to Kinslayer? Yeah, like you said. We're here to make the peace. We're here to feed the hungry. There's more grain in the granaries now than Tyr would sell. So he's like, those peasants will not have to eat bark any longer, my Lord Mylan or Malin or whatever. And then he's just like, he's just shut up. And you have a question? You have a question, Mylan? No.
He is such a dick to these guys. Like just downright mean to them. I fucking love it.
I forget who the commander of. I forget who he does. But he takes out Kalendor and he points it at someone's face, and the guy's just like, and he backs into the crowd to kind of disappear himself.
Again, I think one of the key takeaways here is Rand, and honestly, credit where it's due. Elaine sucks, but like this is Elaine's kind of teaching to Rand a little bit here, which is why Moraine is kind of surprised by it, because she is like, I didn't know any of this shit was going on. It's like, yeah, well, in between snogging in corners, Elaine was apparently offering up some good advice, and so he rolls up and does the politic thing. But at the end of the day, it is really, all right, everybody whip it out and put it on the table, and you will note that this one here is the Dragon's Ditty, and all of y'all ain't got shit.
Yeah, I would imagine like Tom probably helped him too, since we don't actually see any of the help on page. So.
I think the details for sure, like who having this person is going to be taking care of you in your recovery. Like, yeah, that's all Tom for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I got to read this right. I have to read this right here.
Energy, that's all I'm saying.
All right. Soldiers don't know much about feeding hungry people. For that, I think a kind woman's heart is needed. My Lady Altama, I regret intruding on your grief, but will you undertake to oversee distributing the food? You will have a nation to feed. And then Moraine's like, oh, and power to gain. And then, of course, Altama's like, as the Lord Dragon commands, so do I obey. It will please me greatly to serve the Lord Dragon. I was sure it would. As much as you love your husband, you'll not want him with you in Kyrian. Conditions will be hard for a sick man. I took the liberty of having him move to the High Lady Estanda's apartments. She will care for him while you are away and send him to meet you in Kyrian when he is well. Estanda smiled a tight smile of triumph. Altama's eyes rolled back in her head and she crumpled in a heap. That's what I was looking for. All right.
And then look at Egwene's response. She's like, oh, he's mean.
Egwene started toward the fallen woman, but Moraine put a hand on her arm. I think she was only overcome by emotion. I can recognize it, you see. The ladies are tending her. And then it's funny how, Estanda is the one standing over her as she's being tended to. That's
funny.
Yep. It turns out Estanda is just the fucking worst. So bad pick there, buddy. But other than that, nice job.
So I forget, Estanda and Altama are like political enemies or something.
Yeah. It's a freaking pack of snakes. Like at this point, he's just tying all their tails together.
If they're occupied with each other, they're not going to be fucking with him.
So is Estanda the wife of the person that she's screwing with or something? Because she has her husband.
Her rival.
Her rival. Okay.
Rival.
I forget they brought her up earlier.
If I'm recalling this correctly, it was husband and wife, and like husband's sort of side piece, right? And she tried to kill her husband for cheating on her, and then he was sent to go get nursed back to health by said side piece, who would be potentially trusted to actually take care of him because she might actually like him.
Yeah, it's just this is pretty. I thought this was great. And then we get what we get after that. Yeah, he takes the sword. He takes the sword and just smashes it into the floor. It's there, and he's just like, "Hey." They're like, "Why did you do that?" Why? He's like, "It's right here. This sword is here to say I am going to come back. You are not. You have not seen the last of me. I am going to return. And good luck trying to take it. I dare you. I triple dog dare you. Go take it. Try it." And I like how like they're like, "Well, why?" Like I like how later like Sam, they're like, "Oh, Samael or a male forsaken or heck, Lanfear could probably channel it out." They're like, "Good luck." It's like, yeah, good luck to them.
Have fun with that.
I
He actually says.
yeah,
I think he actually says, "I almost hope they'll try."
Yes, he does say
oh,
that.
Man.
Yes, he does. And it was just like, and what I thought was great was he's like, "Oh, I'm just fulfilling a prophecy. I'm just fulfilling this prophecy right here. What hand can grasp that fearful blade?" It's like, seriously. I thought that was great.
Yeah,
You see, straight from the prophecies.
right? And yeah, that's what causes the earthquake that rattles the ship from the previous chapter.
Yes. So apparently it was like I'm curious if he even knew what he did. Like it just I think I forgot, how was it described? Blue, like a lot of blue light just hitting the ceiling. Trying to remember. Let's see.
How he did what he did is a read and find out, I would say.
Oh, it's not something that he didn't know about or from a memory or something.
They talk about shoving in or what he's done to Kalendor.
What he's done to Kalendor.
The whole thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the whole thing, yeah.
You gotta read and find out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we need to. I think we got to cover like the last like 2 paragraphs of this is with Rand and Moraine. Mainly because I think Rand. I always read this line as Rand being like turning Snark to fucking 11. So if you'll indulge me there, she goes on like, "Oh, you're not an ideal clan chief. You have to be doing stuff, blah blah blah. The answers from the Terangrial, like they could be cryptic. You could be misinterpreting them." And then he's like, "You must trust me, Moraine, as I have so often had to trust you."
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Like he might as well just slapped her in the face. Like,
well, it's also
like,
because
you
she's
clever
wrong.
boy.
She's wrong more often than she's right too. So it's just like it's like okay, but it's just
I like this
Snark
part of the
211
story too, because like Rand really turns like from being a reactive character to a proactive character, and this is like get shit done, Rand here.
Yep.
He's embraced. He's embraced his fate. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, there's also a development in the Rand and Moraine relationship, and this is the start of it where, when you're a kid, you think your parents are right about everything. When you're a teenager, you think your parents are wrong about everything. And then when you're an adult, you realize your parents are just people who are doing their best. And sometimes they are wrong about things, but more often than not, they're wise and they're right. This is the beginning of Rand in his teenage years of, Moraine is not my mom. I don't have to listen to her. She doesn't know anything. When, Moraine does know a lot. She just, doesn't know everything. And it's sort of a weird arc of his maturity.
Well, I think, I don't want to talk about too much.
The Great Hunt through the Shadow Rising.
Well, yeah.
He went teenager early.
Well, yeah, their development, the development of their two, just how they interact here starts getting interesting, and it's one of those, I can't talk about it too much, but it gets better just because Rand sort of has decided that, well, I'm in charge now, and Moraine doesn't know how to deal with that.
Yeah, so apparently, the next step. So apparently, they're like, "Where are you going?" Where he's like, he didn't say where he was going. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to Roydian." And they're just like, "Why?" He's like, "I'm not telling you." So yeah, so that's the next step for the dragon. Rand is going to be going to Writing. I'm assuming out of the stone means they're going to be leaving and they're going to be going. Well, they're going to be on the way to the waste. So that's so yeah. So the next so this block of chapters was I think good was I think decent setup for the next block and for the rest of the book. You know, they're everybody's leaving the stone, so we're finally moving away from the stone and we're going off into different parts of the world, Tanchico, the Waste, then the two rivers. So I am really looking forward to the two rivers part of this, and I'm really curious because I did listen ahead when I was on my way to Alex's. I listened up to the last part of chapter 23. So Rand and Matt have already went to. They're already left. They're on their way to Writing and everything. They already got permission to do so. And yeah, I'm just really curious where that goes after that. So with Egwene being trained and all that, so I'm looking forward to this. The next block of chapters is going to be chapters 22 through 33 for next time, and I think it's going to be in 2 weeks. I'll have to find out where everybody's schedule is, and that's what's next up. So, any final thoughts, guys? We'll start with the undercover pips.
I'll just say that I think that there's some chapters in this group and in the previous group that we sort of like make fun of a little bit. I still think even the like slower chapters I think are good world building. I think that one of the things that like you gotta love or hate on Robert Jordan's style is he keeps kind of switching to POVs and things like that. Like, I'll just put it this way: Robert Jordan is like a tantric author. Like he's just like, oh man, like you want that sweet Matt chapter? Like I'll just give you a little taste, and you're like, fuck yeah, and he's like, Elaine. So like there's you gotta kind of get into the story, and I think that at the end of the day, like all of this stuff, like it all has payoffs, it all like goes places, and that's one of the reasons that I really like
So I'm curious if all this detail is even necessary at this point. Like I find myself forgetting more stuff than remembering. I don't know if it's because I'm just not as interested. I don't know what it is. So that's
I think that it to lesser and greater extents, like it pays off. But like one of the things that Robert Jordan does is 6 books from now, like one of these characters is going to come back in and you're just like, oh shit, like that was the this person from this one thing, like
you're
we were just
introducing
talking
a
about
lot of
the high
shit,
lords
too.
and ladies and stuff, right? So you kind of let it wash over you a little bit, and like the world building is going on, and like you're trying to get as much as you can. And one of the reasons that I actually like that is I feel like you as the reader are actually like almost in the same boat as like Rand, right? Like there is an overwhelmingly big thing going on, and you're just like trying to hold on and not forget the important bits, which is way better as a reader than I think when a book just like follows just the main thing. And it's like, cool. I mean, it's very linear and you can follow it and not forget anything. But I think that those books aren't worth rereading. And like the reason that this series is worth rereading is because it all does matter and it all is interesting and contributes to the whole kind of tableau that Robert Jordan is building. So that's one of the reasons that I like his style. It's one of the reasons I like this book. And like it's going to ramp up, and the action towards the end of this book, really from like book 4 to book 6, I think is probably like the most. I think it's a fantastic run.
It's fun. It is so fun.
So I hope that you're enjoying it. I feel like you had at least the negative things that you were saying were about wave mistresses and stuff. So I guess I'll bump you down to like a 5 out of 10.
Oh man, I was hoping I'd get to a 9.
We'll see how the rest of the Nerdporial read along goes. As long as you keep liking Matt and Rand chapters, like I think we'll probably be able to still be friends.
Yeah, probably. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, I did enjoy the last. I think the story is getting more interesting now. Plus, I'm getting more. I haven't read the chapters for a while, so it takes some getting used to reading Robert Jordan's style and all that. So, yeah, I think, I mean, like there's certain things that I do, I do find interesting lots, but it seems like a bulk of it I don't. So, I mean, that's more of a me problem than anything. So, but I was listening to chapters 22 and 23, and I'm really interested to see where they go with the dark, or sorry, the waste storyline. And I'm really, because I did look ahead. So I mean, I'm just reading this. I'm like, where's this going? Like, I'm trying to understand where this is going. So I looked ahead to see what the chapters were, the titles, and who was the points of view and all that. And so I'm more excited now because I have an idea of what's going to be forward and all that. So I'm really looking forward to the parent stuff this time.
Yeah,
Going back home really... because apparently. And I know this already because I looked at the chapters for the Fires of Heaven as well. So apparently Perrin does something really big to the point where Jordan gives Perrin his entire book off.
It's more that the action splits and he's trying to limit focus to one or two characters so that he can kind of give them a complete sort of arc within one book.
Yeah.
It's not that it's necessary. There's just a lot going on. So
I needed to get myself more interested in this. That's why I did that. That's why I looked ahead. So.
And that's fair. And I think so I'm going to be blunt. This is not my favorite section of chapters. I think there's probably 4 or 5 of these that I just don't particularly enjoy. But all 4 and 5 of those, with the exception of maybe 2 that could be combined with the previous one, are foundational chapters that will set things up for future developments that I will enjoy more for the struggle. So you're not.
I feel like
you're not missing anything, I guess is what I'm saying.
I feel like when the Shadio and Couladin and all of them start getting involved, things start.
I met them. I already met them. So.
Well, yeah, but when they all are start to.
Yeah, this part's kind of boring too, because like it doesn't feel like anything is happening. Like they're just there, and it's the stone, and they're not going anywhere. Nobody's doing anything.
Yeah, this is the setting of the stage until they get to travel. Yeah.
I still think that, it is not action oriented, right?
No,
but
I agree.
I think the politics and the personal stuff.
But you can still do that and make it exciting. I mean, I've watched a lot of stuff. I've watched a lot of shows. I know how it is.
Well,
like, it feels like nothing is.
Nothing. Well, but what I think what Pips is trying to say is you've read a lot of stuff and you don't feel like you're getting anything from it, and then in 5, 10, 15, 20 chapters, you're going to realize you did. Or a book later, and then it's gonna be like, oh wow, okay, that popped back up. Or like, you're gonna understand the mechanics of how things are working because we're building to that. Now it's one of those. It's just a lot shoved into a little bit of period.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but my concern is I'm gonna forget these plot points that pay off several books from now.
No, you won't.
That's another. That's another concern.
You won't lose. You won't lose it.
Yeah, you won't lose it.
All right, that's part of the reason why I felt
you
don't it's a
mismatch
of feelings.
Don't concentrate on names. You can look them back up. Like if a name pops back up and you go, "Who the fuck is that?" You look it back up and go, "Oh, it's that person." Like there's so many names and so many characters that if you start trying to compile all the names in your mind and go, "Well, I can't lose track of this person. What if they're important?" Well, you're going to drive yourself crazy. So just like. Don't do that. If in Lord of Chaos, if another character pops back up and you're like, who is that? You look it back up and you go, okay, now I recognize who that person is. And you almost have to. It's almost better to read these with like the wiki on your side because you can look up people real quick and go, okay, got it. And you know, it's like you have a helper, right? So I don't know.
Or be like me and just
Strongly
wing it.
disagree.
I didn't know there was a wiki.
Well,
on
I
it.
mean,
So
well,
I got a
I'm just
question.
saying because there's all kinds of characters to lose. Like there just
There's
are.
like
Yeah.
3,000
I mean-
named characters in this book.
Yeah, so
So
there people tend to a lot of times approach this series like they would other fantasy series, like Harry Potter or the Cosmere, where there's really 10 to 15 characters that you actually have to remember, and the rest of them don't really matter. And that's not necessarily the
Every
right way.
Gryffindor -3 is interchangeable.
Yeah. And so I kind of agree with Steve here in that I think, having the wiki is helpful because there got to be 90 Aes Sedai that start with an S. Like, it's helpful to have that. And I don't think you're feeling anything unusual. And I think you're kind of on a sort of a familiar track. And, as you get sort of, let me backtrack for a minute. In the 3-act structure, the middle 20 or the percentages 20 to 40 of the book is generally referred to as the rising action. We're setting up for the climax that will take place sort of at the end of Act 2, which is what you're in now. And as those climaxes hit sort of at the end of Act 2 and the middle of Act 3 of this book, you'll be happy for it. So don't lose hope. This section was not the pop off. You've now eaten your broccoli. The ice cream is being prepared in the back of the kitchen, and they're getting ready to bring it out to you. Does that make you feel a little bit better about what you went through here today?
Yeah, it does. I mean,
Plus, Jordan, I'll mention that Jordan is a good enough writer that if these people come back again, it's like he will remind you of what they were doing, or the character will. And I kind of looked at it when there were so many. I'm like, I'm not going to remember this, but like, I don't think the characters would remember it necessarily either. So I kind of just rolled with
yeah.
it.
So I felt like like especially the initial Tanchico chapter took me several like attempts to get through it. Like I think it was three different reads I had to get through it. Like I fell asleep the first couple of times. So literally the
I have
my face.
I have a comment and a question. So the comment is, I think Alex is completely right in terms of this is like in a narrative arc. This is like falling action, and then you have So you have the narrative hook, the stone stands, all that kind of stuff. Now you have falling action. You have setting up stakes. The party, the fellowship is breaking. Things are happening, right? And then you're gonna have rising action, and then you're gonna have a conclusion, right? So like the comment that I would say is that you are artificially breaking up a cohesive story in the way that we are covering this book, where you're saying, hey, we're going to cover these chapters, these chapters, and we happen to be covering the falling action in the narrative, right?
Yeah.
The other thing that I would say, and this is my question, I feel like you have notes and you like reference the notes. No, do we lose Steve? Maybe he's refreshing, but you have notes on your read, right?
No, actually, I don't.
Interesting. Okay, I guess it looked like you had some notes, or you had like.
No, I have the book. I have the book right here. That's what I'm using. The book and the wiki.
I like to think about this part is like, when you're reading Lord of the Rings and you just watch the movie and the story gets started. This is all of the beginning stuff with like Frodo and Bilbo, and they're all in the Shire, and you go for like 50 years or something before anything happens. Gandalf comes back, so it's kind of like that.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like every book is like you have your story, and then the next book kind of rinses and repeats the structure and all that, and it seems like this book is going in a slightly different direction.
Yeah, because this was such a big storyline that he had to have some resolution, but it does get better, and like
it got to a point where I lost interest. Like even after I liked the Stone Stands chapter. I mean, I remember how Michael Kramer really inflected Rand, but it felt like not much happened in these first 10 chapters, and I I'd stop listening. So I don't know what it is. So, but it's getting better. I think it's getting more interesting. That's why I say it under my name. I think that's just Egwene's going to hopefully do something interesting with learning from Master Yoda and going to Dagobah and hopefully I'm curious what Matt's going to do, because Matt's got to go to write-in and apparently Rand's. I'm curious what exactly Rand was asking going forward, if we even learn in the details. So
I think that there's something to be said. If you are not the kind of reader who just likes expansive world building,
actually, I've read Song of Ice and Fire. There's a lot of world building in that series.
I think that Robert Jordan is not on the same level as Martin in terms of world building.
All right, boys, I'm hungry and we need to have dinner, and that is not going to happen if we get into a Martin v. Jordan debate.
We could have a debate on that later on, maybe. That'd be kind of fun, actually.
So yeah,
anyway.
But that's my take. So anything else?
No, not
You're back to a 6 to 10 at least, maybe a 6.5.
All right, yeah. Well, I mean, maybe the world will get more interesting, but frankly, I still think Song of Ice and Fire's world is still more interesting than this so far. So this is still early. This is still early in my read. This is 14 books. This is only
my soul. Yep.
Yeah. When you get to the fifth one that doesn't exist, we'll see. Is it the sixth one that doesn't exist? Sorry.
All right. So any other? Okay. So no other stuff.
I don't think so.
All right. But everybody, thanks for joining me. Thanks for so expect to see the next one in the next couple of weeks, and stay in Bookporeal, everybody.
Beautiful. Thanks.
Bye.